to Nomad at Night, starring the one and only Nomad.
Yo, welcome to the show. This is Nomad at Night, another special show. We just got through witnessing what it looked like to me is a damn PR crisis. What it looked like on stage, but we're gonna talk about what we saw on stage after I give out a few shout outs because Kids ain't here right now. Hopefully he'll pop in a little bit later on once he's done doing what he's doing. But I saw my girl Rim right away. Remy, what's up? Welcome back to the show. Who else did I see in there? Marco King, Jason Jones. Let me see, Leo Factor in there, Minister Charles up in here, Black Diamond, Joseph Archer, Jay Sanders. If I forgot you, it's not because I was trying, it's just because I need to hurry up and get to the business, man, because I'm gonna be crystal clear, fellas. And I'm gonna start with you, Trip, in just a second, then we'll go counterclockwise until Kids gets here. I didn't like what I saw today, man. I really didn't, for several different reasons. Number one, this is the first thing that alarmed me. This wasn't a PR crisis. This was a head coach that blew his opportunity to lead men into battle. Basically, he had opportunity after opportunity, and he was let go of and relieved of his duties. It didn't require a postseason or preseason. Let's get Kevin Warren out here and let him address the media and the fan base. It's like a PR crisis that really didn't happen. It was a coaching firing. That's all it was. And we didn't need Kevin Warren. Number one. Number two, and my point directed at Kevin Warren is, and I know it's a lot of people out here, and I respect you all, that felt like, Kevin Warren needs to get involved in this. Kevin Warren needs to do this. Kevin Warren needs to do that. Let me be crystal clear. Kevin Warren is a business administrator. That's what he does. He's not a football operations guy. He's a business administrator. What he does is he goes into boardrooms with his suit on, and he figures out what to do with rich people's money and help them allocate their resources here or there. That's what he does. He's a businessman. He was here to set up the situation and get shovels in the ground and build us a new stadium. That was why he was brought here. What happened today is starting to worry me because it feels like some repetitive nature in a cycle that really didn't require his input. If he came out and said a few things, and I'm gonna pass it to you in just a second, Trips, and he made it seem like Ryan Poles is still in charge because I said so. That was the tone and tenor, and it looked like Ryan Poles was dragged out by his ear and forced to go sit out there and deal with whatever came out of Kevin Warren's mouth. I don't like it. I don't think he has anything he should have anything to do with football operations. Let Ryan Poles do his job. And if he doesn't do his job right, then you step in. That was unnecessary to me, Trips. And I just want to start with that. What did you think about that part of it?
Man, I don't know how to decipher that part of it because of how it all went down. And first of all right, you want to fire Flus, warranted, like mad warranted from like many games ago, but that's neither here nor there right now. So the thing is, why is George involved with a firing of a coach? I mean, the coach is under the purview of the general manager. He hires and fires those guys. Why is ownership involved? Why does the president have to get involved? It's like, well, we haven't done that in 100, 200 centuries. It's like, well, okay. But now Poles, he vouched for Flusy. Beginning of the season, he had the opportunity to swap him out. He was like, nah, we're going to roll with Flus. Now, was he made to do that? I don't know. But, this a few games into a season that you're not going to make the playoffs, now that decision looks like hella bad. But, they can say, well, that's why Thomas Brown, blah, 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 but whatever. That's, later in the conversation. But all I know is some goddamn drama where it don't need to be. Now we got this rookie quarterback out of schedule with the goddamn head coach and offensive coordinator who's doing what. God damn it. Go ahead.
Say what? Say that thing, FFG.
I'm with Trips on this. Ownership should have been like, hey, we're going to fire this cat come as soon as we land or as soon as we get up in the morning. He don't got to take a press conference. Won't be none of that. He got to go. I'm letting Warren know, just like I'm letting you know. He gone. And we're going to promote Thomas Brown, and it's going to move along like this so we can show and prove for the rest of the season. This Mickey Mouse wasting time, to me, was a bad look. If y'all really are in lockstep, y'all should have told the owner he gone. Now I'm telling you he gone. I'm going to go out there and tell everybody else he gone, and this is why. If you want to be on my side and show some solidarity, great. But I don't really need you to say nothing. I just need you to be omnipresent in the background, showing me some love, letting everybody know that I'm running the show until you fire me. Because it didn't look like he was in charge, that he was being told what to do. And I think that's a bad look, even on the way they try to explain how they're going to pick the next coach. Like, we're going to do it as a group, Now, I understand they got time. That's fine. But it needs to have some semblance of an organizational standpoint that you know what the hell you doing, and it looks proper not only to the media but to the fans, so everybody could have some kind of modicum of they finally got their stuff together.
Let me, because Miguel Goncalves, man, shout out to Miguel and thank you for the $20 super chat, man. We appreciate you. This is important. I think optics are important to a certain extent, but this today, I think we all have the tendency to over analyze things sometimes, but today it looked like, and I was just looking at, like, I could have just turned the TV down and just watched, the stage and watch mouths moving and body language. And Miguel Goncalves, let me read his statement. He said the way the flu situation was handled was terrible, and the Bears should be embarrassed. And how they think any good candidate for head coach would want to come to this franchise and put their career at risk is delusional. And I think he's getting at how Flus was handled. And I'm talking about, there was hours in between Flus getting into the building and getting fired. In between. So much so that Flus was able to give a press conference and kind of give confidence to the media spray that he was dealing with, that he was confident that he was going to be coach of the San Francisco game. Not being told that there was a meeting going on upstairs deciding his fate. And, could they have handled that better? That came out in the presser too. Yeah, you could handle that better. How about this? If it was even a question that Eberflus was going to be the head coach or not, how about letting him into the building and not even giving him the opportunity to go meet with the press? Until we figure out or decide what his fate is, how about we don't do anything, Flus, and you just sit down and chill out. Don't you go meet with the coaches. Don't you go meet with the team at all. Just hang on a second. I'll come down to you with the verdict, or we'll have you come up. But to have that guy go out there and I know a lot of people don't have a whole lot of good feelings about Flus, but that's embarrassing, and that's a shame that as an organization, it should be done better than that. So I would just say, Miguel, thank you for that, man, because that's the wrong way to treat anybody with a family or a professional of any level, man. And then to have, to be thinking you can get the best coach out there, I think is a little bit delusional. But Trips, what say you about that situation? Did you like how that was handled?
Well, see, here's the thing. I'm happy that the Flus is flushed, but the way they handled it is like, it's Hallis Hall. What the fuck you gonna do? So, I mean, they made the right decision, even though the way they did it was maybe not the most professional, so maybe that's the most we can hope for. But it's like, why, this goes back to my opening statement. Why on this holiday weekend, Black Friday, everybody want to get the sales and shit. All right, you want to fire Flus? Cool. Why George got to be there? Why he got to come in from his palatial, suburban estate down to, slummy Hallis Hall in the low lives of Lake Forest. And, what does he got to do with the head coach? I mean, why is that such an ownership decision? Why does Poles not have the juice, the authority to hire and fire, his staff at his leisure when it's warranted? So it's like, I don't know what that's all about, but it seems as though as word came out of Hallis Hall that Poles wanted to let go of Flus after the Patriots game. So George was like, nah, he can give him the opportunity to fight back and get back on a winning streak like they had done the previous season after losing so many in a row. So George was trying to give him every, piece of line he could, and Poles was like done with it. And so that's why after the Lions game, Fool snapped off in the locker room. And Jaylon was like, yo, let me put my hands on him. And they was like, yo, Flus, you got to go, dog. Kevin was like, yo, I got Jaylon, but you got to roll. You're not welcome here, son. And so right then they knew that it was done that night, but they had to, wait for George. And instead of, are they not aware that there was a press conference? I don't know. Yeah. So the way they did it was all kind of fucked up, but they got the result by getting rid of the flu. So, we take the victories we can get as Bears fans.
FFG.
I just think it was a comedy of errors, the way I look at it. They knew before they got to the airport that he wasn't going to be the coach. That's one phone call from the skybox to the owner right after the game. Because you ain't going in the locker room talking to nobody. Your first call should have been to the GM. I mean, from the GM to the owner and to the president. We got to get rid of this cat. Here's how tomorrow is going to go. So I will let him know on the ride back or text him or whatever. Hey, just come in and chill. We got some stuff to talk about, and we'll let you know what the situation is going to be going forward, whether you have a future with this team. Instead of just letting this guy go home, think about, well, damn. And then after the press conference, I damn sure I would have known. You know what I'm saying? By that point, I really would have known. Yeah, he can't take no responsibility. He's consistently losing these close games. And he makes it look like all in the day's work. We did the right thing. So,
but did you peep it though, FFG, Nomad, no maniacs out there that the press conference that Flus did over the Zoom, he was all pale. He looked like dead man walking, and all the questions revolved around his future employment with this team.
What's funny about that trip is you saw it before I did. I didn't see it until after the show we did when you said it, and I just I heard about it. I didn't see it, but I went to see it, and I was just like, well, damn. I definitely saw that, man. You know what?
He looks sure.
My sympathy for Matt Eberflus goes so far, and that goes to there's got to be a certain decorum. Mr. Mayhem, yes, Flus deserved to get fired. Did he deserve to get treated like that? Yeah, you know what I mean. When you're professional, man, it's a way to do things, man, and that's just not.
Yeah, well, the retort is that when you're a professional, a certain way to do things is called a goddamn timeout. But go ahead.
True. You can't get away from that. To further this conversation about what I was going to name this show, Power Struggles Incoming, because what I seen on the stage today looked like a man that was basically clipped. That's like, dude, I don't really need you out here right now. Talking about Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren, like, why are we out here? Why are you out here with me? This is football operation stuff. I got this managed. But Trip, it goes back to certain conversations we've had here on this show about how we got to this point anyway. How do we even get to Matt Eberflus? And I think all of it's going to flush out eventually how we got to Matt Eberflus. And I think it was Jay Sanders that said that I think he saw one of Cap's shows or one of Cap's videos, and I guess Cap is lined up and knows what he's talking about for the most part. I don't know what's true and what's not true, but I tend to believe under the circumstances that he probably has some idea what he's talking about. And Jay Sanders said that Cap said that this was an arranged relationship. And the further and further we get away from Flus, I'm starting to sense that. And I think the glue to it all and the through line to it all, I think, Trips, is Trace Armstrong, that might have had this all set up before Ryan Poles ever took the job. And it was the contingency was, hey, if you take the job, this is the setup. Do you believe that, or does that make any kind of sense to you?
Well, I mean, Trace Armstrong is the lowest common denominator. And he's like, shit, if I get all my checks for all my clients in one organization, cool. I can't be mad at him. You can't knock the hustle. But, George talking about, hey, we going to hire the coach because I like him. And then we're going to get the general manager. You going to hire who you want to hire. No, not the coach because we already hired him. And then, we hired the president who ain't hired the general manager or the coaches. Nobody, even though he shouldn't be dealing with the coaches as president because that's the goddamn GM's job. And so why did this meeting take 2 hours? It's like, hey, Flus is out, Brown is in, let's roll. 2 seconds. That's a CC on the email. George would be catching a loop, text that fool. You know what I'm saying? We done. Why are we still here 2 hours later? I don't know. But it just seems as though George, as much as he said that he's just a fan, he's relinquishing control to the football guys, he was still trying to keep control over the coaching staff or who was hired. And Flus just shit the bed so bad as he does. And I think Poles knew that he would. That's why he brought in and finagled Thomas Brown in the offseason. So that it's like, hey, when Flus shit the bed, Thomas Brown, you the man. Coach Washington, you will be the defensive coordinator. Y'all be patient. And as usual, Flus shit the bed. And now we see that, the ascension, like a battlefield promotion. And it's like all the commanders kept going down. And now Thomas Brown is like, I'm the head coach now, fools. Let's go. And it's like, right up. And Poles is like, all right, I got my guy that was willing to go that backdoor route, no diddy, into the head coach position. So will these 5 remaining games, that'll be his tryout. But just Warren talking about, yeah, I'm going to be involved. Well, who's going to make the final decision, sir? Yeah, that'll be me, but I ain't going to say that out loud to embarrass this little boy right here next to me named Ryan Poles. That's the vibe I get from Kevin Warren. It was like, shut up, Poles. I'm the president of this biatch.
And I'll tell them that you're going to be in charge, but it was like, oh my God, I was looking at it. And see, here's my fear. And this is going to get to the nuts and bolts of what I came and what I'm passionate about talking about tonight. It wasn't just that presser and the energy that came off in that presser. I'm talking about the personalities between Poles and Kevin Warren. I was reading the dynamics between them. Poles was trying to get as far away from the cat as he could on that stage, but still be in front of that microphone. Go back and look at that. He wasn't centered with that microphone. He was trying to get away from that guy because he felt like it was really no place for him to be on the stage. This is what I worry about. And I said this on Bearski Film. I just got off the show with him. Shout out to Bearski. I see you in the chat, Paulie. You got a guy who isn't a football personnel guy that is looking to have input into this whole situation. Rightfully so. He's a president of the operation. You can have input in the coaching search, right? Here's what I'm afraid is going to happen. I think it's going to turn into a 3-ring Ringling Brothers circus, just for the sake of we need to get everybody back enamored with the process, and we're going to wine and dine these coaches, and we're gonna bring this guy in. We're gonna fly him in here, treat him first class. We're gonna put him up here, and we're gonna take him out to eat there, and it's gonna be a whole big ass shit show. Is what it's gonna be. And for what? When you possibly have everything that you need right here in this locker room with the guy that you have as an interim head coach. That's what I'm afraid of. But that's why I'm glad we have podcasts. That's why I'm glad we have voices, because what I'm gonna say tonight about Thomas Brown and the opportunity he was given, I think I'm justified, because I just got through looking at some of an interview with Jaylon Johnson on 670 that I didn't see earlier. I was on Paulie's podcast on Bearski Films, and I got to that interview on 670 right before the show went on. So I almost delayed the show 10 or 15 minutes just to get the full interview in, but I got enough of it to see exactly what I was telling Paulie and Dave on their podcast was really what we need ain't quite what you think we need. We need a guy that can stand in front of a room and command and have a presence about him that really makes you say, oh, that's a dude right there. That's what we need. The pieces, most of the pieces are already there inside the building. We got a hell of a team. We playing teams all the way to the wire and should be beating dog-ass teams. We just don't have a dog-ass coach yet. But we got one as an interim. And so what I'm looking forward to, and Remy and everybody else that's a Thomas Brown supporter, this ain't really got nothing to do with nothing else other than we need dog mentality that's standing in front of a room full of men that have families, that have, they got everything. They live regular lives as men. They got to take care of their families, kids, wives. You need a man to stand in front of you and have presence to command your attention and say, let's unite this thing and let's get it going. And I just heard Jaylon Johnson. If you haven't heard that interview or seen that interview, go watch that interview on 670 The Score. And when he gets to the part, when they ask him what it was like when Thomas Brown stood in front of that room, he was like, oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Right.
And he's saying exactly what we've been saying on the Nomad Network trip. Give this dude a chance.
Well, that's the beauty about having him in the building now, and that he has the opportunity to continue, developing our rookie quarterback. And if the yards and the acumen continues to grow throughout the offense, and now as head coach throughout the team, it's like there's no way that you're going to change that up if it's working. To say, oh, well, we could bring in a Mike Vrabel or Ben Johnson. It's like, hey, wait a minute. You mean the same Ben Johnson that ran Panay Sewell on a offensive lineman pass? Really? That's who you want to bring up in here? Huh? Okay. Or whoever the candidate may be, they may be good candidates. You bring them in, you talk to them, woo, see what's on their mind, see what's on your mind. But Thomas Brown's body of work began 3 weeks ago for the offense, and it's looked very good, at least for the second half. You make the adjustments necessary to be productive and, put points on the board as an offense. And now these remaining games against, another cycle of good defenses, going up against the zero blitz looks of LaFlores, going up the zone and blitz looks of the Lions, and whatever the fuck the Packers are doing, because fuck them, that's why. So, Thomas Brown has this opportunity, and I like the way when he was at the microphone, it was like, sir, yes, sir. I never felt that with Flus's goof ass. It was just kind of like, yeah, this goofy ass. But when Thomas Brown is at the mic, he's got something to say. He says it with compassion, with plain. He does get his little coach speak in there, but he's eloquent and real world about it, with his examples or with the point that he's trying to communicate. He's not too proud to say he doesn't know everything, and that he's willing to learn and accept responsibility for things while saying, I know what the fuck I'm doing. So, holler at your boy if you want to win some football games. And he has the respect of the players, which is the utmost of the importance. it was never good when 3-4 games into the season, the leadership council was like, hey, Shane Waldron ain't coaching us hard enough. It's like, oh, here we go. And that fool's gone a few weeks later. So there you go. But yeah, we don't get that with Thomas Brown, or as Caleb says, he has an aura. That's how the kids talk. He's got that aura about him. So it's like, let the man do what he got to do. And if the team is competitive, looks good, and they got him playing good, we got our dude right here in the building. So no need to, stress it. I mean, sure, you interview him and, you talk to the people, and maybe, hey, it's like that meme says, they sitting out there. It's like, we're hiring Thomas Brown. Change our minds. And it's like, that's what the other people be interviewing up against. FFG?
Yeah, I look at it from another angle, which a lot of people haven't actually. We got to think about how this all started. Bill Polian and Ted Phillips picked Flu's ass before Brian Poles was ever hired. So he was already hamstrung to begin with. And he says, screw it. I'll let him, try to, see what he can do with a terrible team. I got to tear it down anyway. So most of these cats ain't going to be here in 2-3 years anyway. I got to rebuild, so I could let him be the real rebuilding coach. He actually started to show promise last year in some regards, because the team was actually winning. So at the end of the season, I said, okay, I'm probably going to have to run it back, because if I try to change it up again, which he probably should have did if he knew he was getting a rookie number 1 overall pick instead of taking the haul and not keeping Justin, he probably should have pivoted there, but he didn't. So he let twofold happen. Now this year, when he had to make a decision, he still was hamstrung by an ownership that wanted to make decisions, which that's not their job, and by a president who's not their job. So he's feeling like he's got to answer to all the wrong people to be in charge of football operations, which that's his only job. His job ain't out there to find stadiums. His job ain't out there to decide where we're going to put stuff and what we're going to invest in and what marketing we do. I don't give a shit about none of that. My job is to get the players for the right coach so we can win games. And that's why he did build in the buffer, like Nomad said, because he knew ahead of time that if he don't show improve this year, because the ownership wanted to keep Flus, I got to have a contingency plan or it's my behind. Now he ain't got no issues except for maybe Kevin Warren trying to step in a place where he's not necessarily needed at all, other than saying, okay, we're going to pay this cat this amount of money. That should be the only thing he comment on, because he's really not a football guy in regard to where he's building a team. He built a stadium so the team can play. And that's it. So they really didn't let Poles do his job, and he's done it backwards. He should have built the line first on both sides and then went outside. But he thought that, hey, if I'm able to get some weapons, let me do it now, and I can work on the interior, which is always ass backwards, but oh well. Now he knows, and Thomas Brown knows, if he stays, that they not getting no linebackers, they not getting no DBs, they not getting nothing but the trenches, entire draft and offseason. So those two areas of the team will be stellar going forward, because you got everything else. And you got coaches that can work with everything else. You may be to pick up somebody late in the round or cheap in free agency, but you don't need none of the top tier positions on offense or back end on defense. Got that sewed up. So what you need to do is work on the things that's been tore up since he got there that he never worked on. And that's part of his job, which he needs to focus on for the future. And tell, Mr. Phillip, Mr. Warren, go shut the fuck up and go in your office. When I need you, I'm going to call you. I'll let you know our progress. Don't worry about it. I got you. But when it comes to this football stuff, I got whole scouting department. I don't need you for that. You ain't going to no college looking at nobody and evaluating the goddamn thing. And you ain't out there in free agency scouting nobody. So you need just to chill the hell out. I know football way better than you will ever know it, because I played and I've been assistant GM and now a GM with a real franchise, and he needs to come back to greatness. Period. Point blank.
One thing I will say, and this is just me, and some of the decorum I use in life, and I, when I'm talking to people, when I'm talking to people directly, and this comes back to me being a mentor, me being a counselor, and me just being a people person and having to deal with people and being in crisis for a long time in my professional career. One of the things I learned is, especially when you're talking to adult men, never tell somebody what they need to do. You know what I mean? Never tell another man what he needs to do. And I'll never do that. And I'll suggest, what I think they should do. But never ever say what they need to do. And that's just from our perspective, being on the outside looking in, it's easy. We sitting up there on the couch and in our chairs and saying what should be done, what shouldn't be done, and that whole 9 yards. But with respect to somebody in their professional job, I've had this conversation with a bunch of different people. I respect people and their capacities, that what they have, how they have to operate. We don't know the truth is we don't know the circumstances that Ryan Poles has to operate. We know that Kevin Warren is pretty much given carte blanche to do whatever. They trust this guy to do whatever they think he needs to do. But Ryan Poles, I'm going to tell you why I'm withholding my punches, and that falls right into what I just previously said. Is because we don't know exactly what circumstances he's been given. You know what I mean? We don't know. All we know is what we know, and it ain't a whole lot. It just a whole bunch of talk at a presser and a whole bunch of talk about this or that, but we don't really know the circumstances he was handed. And so what he needs to do versus what I think he should do could be in two different worlds. You know what I mean, Trips? It could.
Well, there's always what we want as a fan base and what reality is. And a lot of times, most times, those ain't in the same universe. There's a lot of the fan base that's on President Warren's ass because the stadium isn't built yet. It's like, oh, well, why do we keep seeing this Chicago shit when they have all this land? They got the money, just pay the taxes. Yeah, Ryan ain't trying to give away money like that. So it was just last week, Arlington Heights, rescinded that huge ass tax burden that they were going to put on the Bears. And so that shit takes time. And, so Warren's taking his time. He's, playing the game. And, it's like, all right, yeah, we're going to build a whole little bear land out there in Arlington Heights. It's already mocked up and ready to go. We just got to wait for the numbers to get right. And now Arlington Heights is starting to, act right. And so it'll be like, yeah, we tried to make it work in the city, blah, 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 as he says, sounding like a politician. And so that'll be his thing. But it just seems as though he was trying to, I think he was trying to show support for Poles by saying, yes, he is going to be the GM going forward, because there were, questions about Poles being his job being fired too. And so I guess Poles' boss is coming out saying, no, he's good, because if Poles had come out and was like, yeah, well, we're going forward Brown, it's like, are you good? He was like, yeah, I'm good. He was like, yeah, that's what Flu said, but he got fired 2 hours later. So, what I'm saying? Maybe that's Poles Warren coming out saying Poles is our guy going forward. But then, he just should have just shut up and faded to the back and let Poles talk about the coaching thing. And so it just seems as though Warren hasn't met a camera or a microphone he won't jump in front of, and he always figure out something to say. Whereas Poles is like, look, man, let me just fire this dude, hire these other dudes, and try to do my fucking job.
Let me read what Jay Sanders said. He says, Nomad, if he's responding to what I just said, he says, Nomad, if they're handcuffing Poles, that's Poles' fault for accepting the job under those circumstances. Poles has to take some accountability. Yeah. At the end of the day, if you accepted that job, knowing that, these were the circumstances giving, this goes back to Let's just say brothers getting opportunities and taking the opportunity given, you know what I mean, and being okay with it. That it could be some of that going on. I don't know.
Hold on, no man. Keep prime example. They saying, well, Poe should have some backbone and stand up to George. It's like, hey man, George still do on the team, and Poles could be bounced the hell out. And it's like, I want to be GM of the Bears. George is kind of kooky. He doesn't know football. Let me play the game a little bit. Let me work in there. All right, now we got a president, but I still got my job. You know, George's plant at head coach. Finally got rid of him, but I've been playing the game, so I got my guy Thomas Brown ready to go and talk about, yeah, Thomas Brown was like, I'll take the passing coordinator job. And it's like, it was abracadabra. 6 weeks later, you know, he's done leapfrog from the OC to the HC. So you get your foot in the door, you never know what could happen. And you just don't pass up the opportunities like this if you can get your foot in the door to be like, well, it's not perfect, or I got to deal with a boss or owner that don't know what the fuck they're doing. And it's like, well, yeah, that's why the job's available, probably. So you need to do what you need to do and put your stamp on it, put your people in the building, and execute your plan to the point that the kooky ownership be like, oh, they're winning. Oh, we love you. You're going to be here for fucking ever. No risk, no reward. Let's go.
Hey, Trip, if you had the ballpark a number, what do you think they might have? I know it's a wild ass thought, but if you had the ballpark a number, what do you think they paid Poles a year to take that opportunity under the with the contingency plan like that?
See, I couldn't tell you because I don't know how much. I don't know what's the low end, the high end of GM salaries. So I would think it would be near the, definitely not low end, but it's a introductory job position. We want you. You're getting other offers. So, you know, the top 75% of pay, whatever that may be, over the course of, I think he got 5-year deal. So, you know, not pushing the boundaries, but not, you know, lowballing. So he's, you know, making a pretty penny.
So somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 million.
Well, I mean, what is the top? What's the top GM pay? What's the bottom GM pay?
I know about as much as you. I threw that out there just in hopes.
Oh yeah, I can't just be reaching at straws with numbers because
I know about as much as you.
It's about 8 to 12 million, depending on what they worked out, winning and all that kind of stuff. It's, you know, incentives and all that kind of stuff. The GM, especially first job, never won nothing. You ain't gonna make. There's very few GMs making buku dollars because you got to think about most coaches pushing 5 to 8. 10 million is a lot for a coach to make coming out the game.
Well, we'll compare it to the guy in Minnesota because they were hired about the same time.
Quasi, I think he was hired before, but he's probably, I don't know, Minnesota probably paid a good, but they won though, another thing, and they re-signed him because they've been winning. They've been to playoffs multiple times. So that helps your stock when you have a winning franchise. The Bears been losing, so I guarantee you he wasn't making top end money. But what I see right now is who's really the HNIC on the team. Is it Poles or is it Warren? And I think it needs to be Poles, and Warren needs to do his business side and let Poles run the show. And if he fails, then Warren needs to get involved and decide who's a good football person that they can trust. Because that's a business decision job, not a football decision job.
So let's talk about Thomas Brown a little bit. We can come back to this whole thing, Bears and their business affairs. 5 to, what'd you say? 5 to how many million on a baseline salary? What'd you say, FFG?
8 to 12.
8 to 12. Okay, so 8 to 12.
What incentives or whatever it is you make, you know, the playoffs so many years, you get to the Super Bowl, you win a Super Bowl, all that. So those are risers in your contract.
Okay, so here's the thing. Let's talk about Thomas Brown in particular, because I'm gonna give this guy his flowers. And I always and will always base what I say based on my experience as a player and being in locker rooms and knowing what it is, the tone and tenor in a locker room, especially when you got somebody that's been placed in front of you and being told that this is who we chose as your leader, right? You got an organization that handpicked, they leapfrogged Eric Washington, who's a senior in the league and has experience, defensive coordinator, and been an assistant head coach with Buffalo. He has that to his title. They leapfrogged that, gave Thomas Brown, who was just hired as a passing game coordinator, promoted to offensive coordinator after letting Shane Waldron go. How and why they were confident in letting Shane Waldron go and placing Thomas Brown in that role is a whole story. I said this, and I put this short out recently. It was when the news broke that we hired Thomas Brown, me and Chris, RIP, man, rest in peace, Chris. It was just so nice to listen to his voice while we were doing that show. It was only 25 minutes, but I put a clip of it out there on YouTube for everybody to see, and that was January of last year when we got the guy, right? And so you can hear in the clip, and if you were to go back and look at the show, I would suggest that everybody go look at the entire show and see exactly how and why I was so excited about bringing this guy in. What I said to Chris was, they need to get this guy, and they need to get this guy in the building, and don't let him out of there. Don't let him out of the building. And I went on and on about it so much to the point where Chris, he was just like, you know what? And you can hear it in the show. He was like, Nomad, you put me up on it, man. And I went and checked him out. He was like, man, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. He said, I think we got something in this motherfucker. Really, is what he said, more or less. But go watch the show. It's only 25 minutes, man. And we did that. Go back through the catalog. It was January of last year. But, man, he knew that, like, and what Jaylon said during his 670 interview today just really put the icing on the cake for me. It was like when this guy got in front of the whole team and presented himself, you got to realize Jaylon's a defender. It's like he wouldn't have a whole lot of interaction with Thomas Brown unless it was in the hallway or some fucking way. Other than that, they might have been at a breakfast, lunch, sat around, hey, Jaylon, how you doing? It was like that, but it wasn't no, I'm in charge of the team and this is what we're going to do. And this is how we're going to do it type of situation. But he got in front of Jaylon. Go watch that 670 interview and watch Jaylon's body language, his eyes, his facial expression when they were talking about it. And he was just like, oh, hell yeah. That's exactly what we need. And what I'm afraid of is if Kevin Warren turns this into a circus, we're gonna fuck around and miss a really good thing. A really good thing. And this team doesn't need a whole lot. There's pieces that we need, no doubt about it. But we don't need a whole lot by way of leadership, direction, and that kind of thing. When you got that here, you got a quarterback that's starting to flow with this guy. And he's part responsible for that. And so I just don't want to see the Bears fuck this up because of the new shiny toy that's out there and Kevin Warren turning this thing into fucking Ringling brothers. And it doesn't need to get there.
Well, that's why I think Thomas Brown's personality, his intangibles, his aura, will convince those at Hallis Hall and those owners, McCaskey's and all, that it's like Thomas Brown we like the direction that he has this team going in these last 5 games. So he has not the on-the-job training, but the on-the-job opportunity to get put on film how he handles the head coaching responsibilities, one and all, while calling plays. Remember, he was hired to be the passing coordinator. I don't know how much they make, but I'm sure it ain't as much as the OC or the HC. So, he didn't get a little raise for the holidays, you know what I'm saying? Going to Brown household, go hook a brother out with a little gift, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so they doing it and they doing it big. And so now the Bears have the opportunity to also grab the spotlight as all the national talking heads, pundits, and be like, who will the Bears hire? The Bears head coach search, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, Bears, getting the clicks, the Bears, this, let's milk that cow a little something, something. You know what I mean? Let's go with that. Or polls may be like, yo, Thomas Brown is that guy. I'm the general manager. I want to hire him as my head coach. What the problem is. And, it'll be hard for Warren to be like, well, we should bring in everybody to give them a fair, equitable chance at talking to the position, as this is such a instrumental one for the team and the franchise going forward into the future. That's some of that Kevin O. Warren shit. Whereas Paul's is like, yeah, Flus, like he was cool, then he wasn't, so he had to go. Thomas Brown is impressive. We think he's our guy, and if he is our guy, yeah, we want Thomas Brown. I'll talk to other guys just to make sure, do a little due diligence. Not that he did that with quarterbacks coming out of the draft. Poles gets his guy, and the heartstrings are there, and then it's his guy. But he will cut a dude, so it's all good. But yeah, it's just a very interesting saga we got going on here in the 2024 season. It's not where we thought we'd be, but here we are.
FFG.
Yeah, what I look at, I saw a comment, in the chat. Yeah, Thomas Brown is 0-8. The first five is one of the worst rosters is known to man in the history of the NFL at Carolina. They wasn't expected to win no games, and I don't know how they even won 2 games last year, 3 games, whatever it was. They was that terrible. The 3 games that he coached, that he called plays for the Bears, coach didn't call timeout, didn't let him run a play at the end of the game to get a better field goal. That was a coach's decision that he couldn't control. So they could have got 5 to 10 more yards, whatever made that field goal easier, would it be Green Bay? In overtime, quarterback took a sack. That ain't about play calling. That's about that kid recognizing, hey, I can't take a sack in this situation. I got to throw it away. Worst thing that happens, incomplete or is out of bounds. We live to fight another day. You know what I mean? And then this week, had him right at the 23, first down, and the players let him down with bad penalties. That's not play calling again. That's execution. So one of the things I like what he said today was that he was like, look, yeah, we lost, but we didn't lose in the fourth quarter, the last 30 seconds of the game. We screwed up before that. We screwed up because we should have been in better position. We should have never been down 16-0. So we execute and we do our job prior to this time. We won't even have to worry about this later on because I make great halftime adjustments. And we actually not just in games, we coming back from getting out behind kicked to taking the lead on teams and dominating them in the second half on offense. So, yeah, I want to see what he can actually do when he's in control, can call all the plays, and be responsible for not taking terrible timeouts, for bad, whether you're wasting timeouts on challenges, things like that. I want to see that kind of preparation, what he does there. But I really looked at it where he said, I got great neighbors. They don't know what the hell is going on in my house because my business ain't in the street. Just like this team will be just like that. People do stuff,
FFG.
good and bad.
FFG, that part you just said about when he said that, he was talking about plays that happened before that, that break down at the very end. There's some opportunities we missed. I know exactly what he's talking about. It was a throw to DJ that hit him, that could have been in front of him a little bit more, but hit him on his opposite shoulder that he could have caught if he'd have used his hands. There was that. This is a play that Cole gave up. I think it was a mesh route concept where it was a rub route concept where he set a pick, and that was a couple of plays. And I think it might have been a play that Keenan made. I just can't think off the top of my head, but it was definitely some stuff that was leading up into why they struggled at the end, that, some plays that we could have made, some offsides and all that different kind of shit that went on. But it was definitely some stuff when you think back on it, like, damn, it shouldn't even get to this level. We need to correct some shit otherwise, you know what I mean? So I hear you when you say that, man. That was some. He's right, man. There was some stuff that we could have did differently, and we probably not looking at that same outcome.
Right, because he said the discipline wasn't there, that people wasn't doing their job, and that's the coach's fault. He said that ain't always the player's fault. That's the coach's fault. If you ain't on your job, that's my fault. Then yeah, you get mad at me. But if I coach it right and you mess up, that's on you. And so he said accountability, you know what I'm saying, dependability, coachability, them's the things that he preached. And I mean, he didn't say nothing about winning and losing. He said he didn't care about the points. He said, we do these things right, we're going to kick everybody behind. And I believe that so I played football, and I've, not just in the high school level, I played at college, the junior college. But when you have that kind of command and when you stress the more important things of the game, that's when it becomes easier. And that's when people are like, okay, I got to do my job. That way we don't look bad. I ran my route. So
to that point, Trip, you want to address Miguel's $5 super chat. Thank you, Miguel. You want to read that if you feel like it? I'll read it if you want me.
He said, go ahead and read it.
He says there are 4 quarters in a football game, and the Bears only play 1 quarter per game. Putting the loss on one play at the end of the game does not fly.
Yeah, that's a very true statement because of the opportunities that you squander throughout the game by getting, self-inflicted wounds like penalties, and taking yourself out of scoring opportunities, and now you're punting instead. Historically, this team under Matt Eberflus specifically always just sucked in the first half. They were never prepared at kickoff. And it's like, oh, the game started at halftime, and then they make some adjustments, hopefully, maybe sometimes. And then now they're battling to the end. And it's like, well, if you keep putting yourself behind the 8 ball like that, you're going to have those, endings where you have to just fight tooth and nail. And that's cool, but play a little bit earlier and make the game easier. Start blowing some teams out. How about that, Bears? We don't have to, make everything, a 1-score game where we're playing for the tie. And something else that Flus got overlooked in all of the mumbo jumbo. But at the end of the game for the Lions, he was like, yeah, we were going to come down and set up and re-rack it or some bullshit and play for the game-winning field goal. And it's like, don't you mean game-time field goal? Because you were down by 3 and field goals 3-4. Yeah, he's fired, but that's one of the reasons why. Or, whatever. But, it's like, yeah, I mean, it's you just want to scream, you just want to shout, you just want to let it all out. That's what the Bears do to you. And so, go ahead, take it, FFG. I'm perplexed right now.
Oh, you know what? I see the same thing y'all see every week. I see that it has been constantly the first quarter in general. I think we scored 10 points all season in the first quarter. 10?
That.
So that's not even a point a game. And barely, we get a lot of threes and maybe a 7 in the second quarter. But when last time we had double-digit points at halftime? That is rare on this team. Even when Justin Fields was the quarterback, we at least have 8 to 10, sometimes 12, 14. Now, we may not win the game because they would take their foot off the gas in the fourth quarter and play conservative football, but at least we was in a game early. It wasn't late where we had to charge back out of nowhere and try to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat every week. You know what I mean? So that's what I want to see. Come out strong. Have a game plan where we've already scouted this team. We know what works. And what we do, y'all don't know because y'all ain't seen it. So you really can't scout us like you scout everybody else who've been running the same crap since week 1. We ain't that team. So we should be able to come out and have misdirection and have easy plays, easy throws for the quarterback to make simple plays to keep drives alive. No, man, when we do the second half, what do we talk about? Get easy plays, keep third down and manageable. And they did that all the way down the field and scored a touchdown.
Well, you see, there was a couple little jabs that Brown took at Flus, but I was like, he said a couple times that he's not a micromanager.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, Who you referring to there, Coach Brown?
That might, you know what, Trips, that might be, to me, you know, he said a few things in there I thought was noteworthy. But that was probably the thing that really poked out for me as a defender. You know what I mean? Knowing that you're an offensive coordinator and this is what you do. This is your thing. And they gave you a job. Now, remember, there's a lot of commentary in the chat talking about, different things that Thomas Brown could have and should have done. How come he didn't get these guys ready? Remember what was just piled on his plate a couple of weeks ago? He was giving somebody else's playbook and saying, make it work. You know, he did the best. He's doing the best he can with that playbook given to him and adjusting that playbook to fit what he thinks Caleb can do best. You know what I mean? And adjusting it to the skill set that we have out there. DJ, Keenan, you're starting to see those guys get more and more involved. But what I wanted to really point out is when he was asked about, who was allocated these different roles, talking about, a lot of people thought, and I thought the most likely person to get the offensive coordinator job and to sit in that booth was going to be Kerry Joseph, but he tricked me. Why? He went with what's his name? I forget his name, first name. Last name is Beatty or Beatty. But he's the receivers coach. Why he picked that guy to be the offensive coordinator and sit in the booth? To me, it's a real simple thing. He's a passing game coordinator. So that means he's going to be working directly with the receivers. And so that's probably the guy he had the most communication with, was Beatty, the receivers coach. And he said, all right, I'm going to trust you with this plan. And you sit up in the booth and you let me know what you're seeing. I need you to be my eyes up here. And I need you to let me know what you're seeing and help me call this scheme up. If you're seeing something that I need to know, you call me and tell me on this. And so I thought that was very important. But the most important thing was knowing that he's not a defensive coordinator and he knows that he has a defensive coordinator on the other side of the ball, that he necessarily doesn't have to, go in there and say, hey, this is what I think we should be doing. He knows he doesn't need to do that with Eric Washington over there. He just basically said, Eric Washington, you unchained. Do your shit.
Baby boy, handle your business, Coach Washington. I'm going over here to the offensive mind of mine. And it was but the question, unfortunately, go ahead. You all right? You all right, FFG?
Yeah, man.
Put your shit on mute next time.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, God damn, dog.
My bad.
It's like you got a little snottage going on over there that you're sharing with the world. Thank you very much. Shit, fucked up all my concentration.
We're talking about
yeah, but my question is, who hired Beatty? Was Beatty a Waldron came over with, or was it a Flus guy that had some experience with Waldron, or was it a Poles guy who had some experience with that offense or whatever? Now it's like, well, who's loyal to who? And it seems like a fair question to ask with all the drama that be going on up in there. It's like a telenovela. It's like, instead of like who's sleeping with who, it's like, who hired who's, in cahoots with who, all that stuff going on over there. So it's like Beatty's the OC now. Okay, Caleb, you got your third OC in your rookie year. Knock that shit out of the park, Superman. Let's go.
Well, Nomad, correct me if I'm wrong. But wasn't Beatty on the staff with the Rams, with Waldron and Brown at the same time? And then when he left to go to San Diego, when Waldron left to go to Seattle, right? And Brown stayed, and then he went to try to be a head coach and got turned down because the Texans, because they hired D'Amico Ryans instead. And then he went and took the Carolina job as OC because he was assistant head coach at the Rams with McVay calling all the plays.
Well, my understanding is, and it's asked backwards, in my opinion, that Flus was in charge of all the position hires. In the way I've always seen this thing work well, and this goes back to the whole thing with Morgan being the offensive line coach and why he was retained and held over and given a promotion when you brought in a new offensive coordinator. To me, I think they basically, I think, quite frankly, Trips, I think in the interview process was if they gave it over to Flus to do the hiring and said, you know what, we're gonna take what you if you think you got the guys that you think they can run this team, we're gonna roll with it. They gave Flus the opportunity. How you got Thomas Brown in an interview for an offensive coordinator job and Shane Waldron, those different personality types, and you chose Shane Waldron tells me that you were looking for a pushover. That you,
but that's Flus's style. That's his MO, his modus operandi, if you will. That's Latin for that's how he get down. You know, he'll hire those dudes that's not a threat to him. So he probably brought in Waldron and was like, "This is going to be on who's on your staff," you know, from Rip. And then Pauls is like, "Yeah, I got you. Brown gone, get up in there." But like Robin's saying, it won't matter, you know, because if Brown is retained as head coach, you know, he's going to bring in some more of his supporting staff, his, you know, veteran mentors who are unemployed currently in the league. So, you know, these remaining games, it's just kind of like, who's in the building that I can work with? And it seems as though even the coaches are on board and bought into Thomas Brown and his message, you know, not only the players. So, you know, we'll see how it all comes together. And if he's able to create a winning culture with a hodgepodge of coaches, you know, if he can bring in an actual brain trust to run his vision, you know, this could be a very, you know, bright future, you know, for the next few, next decade or so. You know, how long have winning coaches been in their teams? Like, how long Tomlin been at in Pittsburgh? You know, he can't win the big games, but he'll get them there. You know, have good seasons, but you know, longevity, winning. Let's go.
You know what, Trips, for all the people that say, you know what's Thomas Brown done? Does he have any experience? Is he even qualified to be head coach? Let me tell you something. Two guys, and I said this on Bearski Film Show too. Two guys talking about in most recent history. One of them is an absolute Hall of Famer when he decides to hang him up, and that's Mike Tomlin. Never was a head coach anywhere, ever. Never was a head coach anywhere. Never was in charge of a team. Number one. Number two, Jim Harbaugh. Never was a head coach anywhere. Never was in charge of a team. In fact, he was a special teams coordinator. Took over the helm, became a leader of men, who we keep hearing that term. And hang this one up on your wall like your hats. Remember this as we go into this process. Looking for a leader of men. That's what DJ said on his show on 670 today. He said that Poles called him and told him we're going to replace Matt Eberflus with a leader of men. And in came Thomas Brown. And so that's the key to everything moving forward is which one of those thought processes, you know, are you looking for somebody who's got that proven record, that's got that experience, or are you looking for somebody and giving this guy and putting some wind beneath his wings? And that's what I think you got in Thomas Brown. Number one. Number two, this thing with Eric Washington, I cannot wait to see what difference he makes on Sunday on this defense without Flus, you know, in the way of the play calling. I cannot wait.
Right. I think Washington, I don't think Eric Washington's gonna call, you know, tell the DBs to back up 18 yards on a 3rd and like 15. I don't see him doing that.
Well, no.
So, you know, let's do it. Let's see what that's all about. But the other thing on Brown had a very poignant point about what was the thing you said about Brown?
About what part? Talking about when he was talking about the plays that happened before they got into the last second shit, or what?
No, that wasn't it. But it'll come to me.
When you're standing in front of the room and he
commanded. Leader of men. That's what it was. there was a show that we did on Nomad at Night, Extra Sauce, I believe, with Glenn Morgan a while back.
Mhm.
And I asked the question, who's the alpha on this coaching staff? Obviously it ain't Waldron because he ain't doing it hard enough. It ain't Flus. I mean, just look at his goofy ass. He'll give you a nickname, but that's about it. Who are they following into battle? Because you need a leader. And you, Nomad, nor Glenn could answer that question because it's like, well, there isn't one. I guess we really don't need one, but obviously we do. We need a leader of men. We need a head coach, somebody who fires you up, motivates you, get you going, get you on the same page, and we haven't had that personality, so to speak, in Hallis Hall since like a Ditka, the fiery, kind of guy. Whereas like a Tomlin, because his name came up, he's more of a soft-spoken, reserved, but get your attention kind of guy. And Brown is that kind of eloquently spoken, but everyday language. Here's what it is, like it or love it. Just however you take it. Here's what it is. And the players respect that because they know what to expect every day. He's going to pay attention to the details. And his comment about, football being a violent game and the players that are rewarded are the ones that play it more violent. And it's like, fuck yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And so if he can bring that attitude with his, his modern way of dealing with people, knowing that personalities are different. Sometimes you need a stick, sometimes you need a carrot, sometimes you need a piece of candy, other times you might just need a hug. But that different people are different people, and being able to connect with grown-ass men, millionaires, putting their bodies on the line, doing that, to have them saying, yeah, we'll follow you into battle, into the games, that's a very good thing. And that is not something that you mess with if it is developed over the remainder of this season. You just roll with that because it's like, well, yeah, Brown, he did good. It looked all right. But all these other big names out here, we got to bring in who we don't know will be able to succeed in this environment. So, I'm just looking forward to it. It's like a new holiday gift, a new head coach. Is he or isn't he? And, I think that's where a lot of the people's focus is. Is he going to be able to develop Caleb or isn't he? How will that look?
You know what, Trips? I also heard this and I'm gonna really lean into Jaylon Johnson's interview, man. And those who have seen it, they know exactly what I'm talking about when I say, his response to some of those questions. And I can't exactly tell you exactly what the question was, but I can tell you pretty much the premise of it and his response. And it was something towards talking about, what do we need and what does it look like when you got some true leadership in front of you. He said you got to be an alpha male. Basically what he's saying, you got to be a dog. You got to be a dog. And what I'm telling you guys is, I don't know how many people were watching, ever seen Thomas Brown highlights. Go watch Georgia highlights, Thomas Brown Georgia highlights. I'm challenging every nomaniac that can hear my voice. Go watch Thomas Brown's Georgia highlights and tell me you're not dealing with a dog. That's what dogs want to communicate with. Dogs. We know our own kind. We know our own kind, and Thomas Brown's a dog. And that's what happened when he went in front of that room and got Jaylon's attention. He was like, oh, wait a minute. What's this? Is that a dog? That's what we need. That's what the fuck we need. And that's just a person to galvanize this very fucking talented team. Not to be a micromanager, be firm, direct, be a leader. Give those guys an opportunity, talking about your staff, talking about Eric Washington, not going to come in there and micromanage you. I'm going to let you do your thing. You do your thing. I know you can do your thing. I'm not going to get in the fucking way of that. I'm going to do my shit over here, and we're going to do our shit, and we're going to come together, and we're going to win fucking games. And I'm telling you, I just got a strong indication that this is going to look really good under this dude's leadership. and he's going to make a strong case. I'm telling you, and it's as simple as being able to get in front of these dogs that he got that he's looking out into. He's looking into a room full of 50, 60, 70 something dudes, practice squad guys included, 80 something dudes. And he's looking at dogs out there, and he's a dog. Dogs know dogs, and he knows what dogs need. They need to eat. And that's what we got, man. We got a situation where I think it's the perfect storm for him. It's a hell of a lot on his plate, guys. It's a hell of a lot that he's been presented with, and he's got to sort it out. I respect that. But, given this opportunity, don't squander this, Thomas Brown. Be you. And this team will follow. And I'm telling you, they'll give you results and things about them that you haven't seen all year just because you came in here and was you held yourself to a certain standard and you said accountability, and I'll start with myself first. And that's what I want to hear. That's what we haven't been hearing. And so I just really look forward to this. And matter of fact, I think anybody in our way moving forward, you're going to have a hell of a task trying to beat this team because he's going to galvanize these dudes. I think he'll have them united and ready to play.
The way I look at it, I think he was looking for this opportunity to show what he can bring to the table. And I think Poe saw that in the interview process and that he allowed Waldron to be hired because that was, I think he let Flus fire himself in a way too. You got to think about it. First defensive coordinator barely lasted a season. Running backs coach you had to fire after a couple of weeks. You know what I'm saying? You got to think about that. He done fired, 7, 8 coaches in his tenure in the last 2 years? People he picked. So you got to think he's not a great talent evaluator as far as coaching and teachers at all. And then he made a prerequisite that we got to keep the tight end coach and we got to keep the offensive line coach, or you can't be hired. So everybody in this organization has been putting a stipulation on how it's going to move forward instead of, look, we're going to go forward. We're going to go forward. We're not going to hold on to the past because that's really what it's been. Even when we allow people to wipe out everything, they were bringing in back coaching options. Now, Poe's finally said, okay, I got to have a stopgap situation. I brought in the guy that I really wanted to be the coach, and the OC, if nothing else. Now, I finally let somebody get themselves fired. Now I can promote him to be who he wants. Same thing with Washington. I knew he was going to be a great defensive coordinator, and he got Chicago ties. He ain't trying to screw this up. He's trying to show and prove, not just for the Bears, but for the rest of the league. So now he going to let them cats go nuts on people and do what you do. Ain't no more blinders on. There's nothing to worry about. Ain't nobody waiting in the wings. I'm not trying to hold you back. If you feel that you need to put somebody else in the right position to do what we need to do to win, do that. Make your audition as strong as possible. So at the end of the season, I can go and say, hey, look, this is who I want. Yep, we're going like we have to legally, based on what the NFL standards are, we have to look at candidates. We just can't, unless we're going to hire the incumbent, the current coach, and give him a contract immediately. But the smart thing is we need to actually give people an opportunity and see what they're willing to bring to the table. But if, like what he said with Justin Fields, if they not blowing me away in the draft, like you ain't blowing me away in the interview process, I'm status quo and I'm letting these people build because they're doing it the right way. So let them cook.
Daryl Gibson says, do we have a practice squad running back? Darrington Evans is the one I know of.
Yep, he's the only one.
Only one I can think of off the top of my head. That's the only one I've heard of. You know what else could be interesting, Trips, is I've kind of been alluding to this the last couple of shows, or the last show that we did because we did the breaking news, is what Eric Washington may or may not want to do as far as picking up a piece or two. I don't know. The waiver wire, I think the waiver wire transactions are announced, I believe, either Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday afternoon? Is there a piece out there that Eric Washington might have went after to help out the defense? Me and Kez got into a big old humbug about all that. Is there a guy on the practice squad who maybe Deshaun Mallory that he brings up? And so what I'm getting at is, who Flus brought up to the roster and to play on the 53 versus who he didn't. Does Eric Washington have a different viewpoint of who he thinks should be active and playing on the roster versus what Flus did? We could be looking at some different things on the defensive side of the ball and the offensive side of the ball, but we won't know that until Sunday.
Well, it just seems as though, well, I guess namely on defense, because that's what you brought up. I mean, that could happen if there is a talent that Poles identifies or the scouting staff identifies that, they want to bring on board. But at this point in the season, it's kind of hard to see that Poles would customize any of the roster for these coaches right now, because we don't know if Washington's even going to be here, beyond the end of this season. So I don't think that, he would allocate any resources to bringing in a young guy that this specific coach wants. No. But like if there's a guy that, Poles and his staff wants, yes. So offensively, if, there's offensive linemen out there, the answer is yes. Whatever the question is, the answer is yes.
Do you think there's any chance that Eric Washington has a chance to keep his job?
I don't know. Is that because, now we're in that cycle where you have a head coach who didn't hire his defensive coordinator. He inherited him and decided to keep him, kind of thing. I'm sure there is probably a list of defensive coordinator candidates that Thomas Brown has in his head or might have written down someplace. Those could be not Eric Washington. So that's TBD or to be determined.
You didn't get a chance to chime in on this one when me and Kez threw jabs. Kez woke up that day and chose violence. So did I.
I watched it.
Go ahead, FFG.
I look at it this way. Anybody that you sign right now is coming off a practice squad, and you have multiple people that are inactive scratches every week that you ain't utilizing no damn way. So if you said, hey, I can get a space heater for a rotational piece right now, what you gonna pay him 5 games at the base salary? What are you gonna make? $168,000 for 5 games? You're not willing to let that happen where you can actually help stop the run, the defense looks better, and I can actually run the style I want to play? I can't see them saying no to that. I really can't. Because now it's Django Unchained. He gets to do what the hell he want to do on defense. And ain't that conservative sit back and wait, 18-yard zone on 13-yard first down, on third down type of situation. They finna come after everybody. Just like the Niners are going to be in trouble this week because they know McCaffrey out. Yeah, they're going to run the ball. I know they're going to run the ball. But if you don't go get you a space eater, it might be a long day in San Francisco. But I guarantee you they ain't going to be able to throw the ball because we're going to be on their behind on the back end. So now you need to dial up them blitzes. And if you can go get you a space eater, or if you want to bring up somebody from the practice squad on our team that you can just think holds up against the run better, that he's got a chance to make all the changes he wants on defense. Stand people up, run a hybrid 3-4 in some instances. So now you let Austin Booker and Darryl Taylor, let them stand up and just go off on people. Let them be linebackers instead of rush ends. And I guarantee things will change. You know what I mean? So I can't see how you would deny an opportunity because this is his audition too to Thomas Jones. So Thomas Jones is auditioning for Poles, and Washington is auditioning for Brown if he keeps the job. So it's twofold.
Oh shit! Now we definitely about to get into the weeds now. My guy, the Canadian is here. The Canadian felt that he felt that
that the horses needed rescuing, all the dead horses. So he came through to save the dead horses. And speaking of horse, my voice is a little bit hoarse. There's stuff going around in Canada.
Oh shit!
What it do, y'all?
Y'all get that touted free healthcare, so it's all good.
Man, cheers up, y'all.
Hey, you know, how much of this shit did you see, kid? Are you just coming in partially?
Like I said, I just heard the horses dying. They were dying and it needed resurrection. So,
all right. So here we are at the point where me and you got into the little busy last week, and we're talking about the opportunity. So all right. So Eric Washington is being tasked with righting this ship on the defensive side of the ball. To me, I think the majority of our problems in the last, let's just say 3 games, if I had a problem overall, and I'm just going to start with you kids, we watch the games together. We got to call that shit together. And we come and we looking at this stuff live, and it's always something defense that we lean into, man. The meat of our problems in the last few weeks since Thomas Brown has been the coordinator, it's reversed. It's the defense now, and them not doing the things that they need to do to shore up what the problem is, and that's stopping the run. And it's exposing everybody because they can't stop the run. And we just talking about things that can be done. We got Deshaun Mallory out there on the practice squad. You know, we just don't know what's going to happen come game day, who's going to be elevated to the roster on the offensive side or on the defensive side of the ball. But since you just walked in here, let's talk about the defensive side of the ball and what we can do to try to shore this situation up.
Drink raw milk.
Well, I know you're looking to shore things up. I'm not sure if that's really the requirement. I just want to see what Eric Washington can do with this defense. That's all I really want to see. The guy hasn't had the opportunity to do anything thus far, to my understanding. And okay, yeah, and then he hasn't had the opportunity to really hold it down. And now that he does have that opportunity, I want to see what he can do. Perhaps he can just simply be a little bit more creative with the existing guys that we have, right? Let's stunt them. Let's do some twists. Let's send different people on blitzes that Flus hasn't been sending on blitzes. That's what I want to see. I want to see some blitzing at opportune times. And these are things that you just didn't get from Matt Eberflus. Matt Eberflus would hold that blitz back 99% of the time. Like, what's cool about it is that when he actually did blitz, it was like with a Kyler, or maybe with a Kyler, or maybe with a Brisker. Those are kind of the 2 guys who generally wind up blitzing, which is weird. But here they come and they'll get through because nobody's expecting a blitz because he never blitzes. At least now, I think with Eric Washington at the helm, they'll have the opportunity to do it. So that's really what I want to see out of him. I want to see some aggression.
Check out MC Fact down there, Fed kids. Check out
what's
that.
Up?
Read that. MC
in
Fact.
Preseason, result undefeated. Well, would you look at that? If he was really the guy doing it in preseason, heck, we need to see a little bit more. To be honest with you, we did see a lot more stunting and blitzing in preseason too, but to what degree? Like it's preseason. So let's see this.
Everything.
Let's see this for real now.
Remember the last game
opportunity that we will not see vanilla on defense.
And I like vanilla. It's my favorite flavor of ice cream besides caramel cone explosion. In any event, I want to see something different. It's about time we can see something different, something creative, and more importantly, something aggressive when aggressiveness is required.
Yes,
that's really
you remember the game? I think it was, I don't know if it was this last game or the game before, when we was getting a little hot about the defense. And I said, man, when's the last time you seen Kyler go on a blitz? When's the last time you seen a corner blitz, slot blitz, anything like that? When was the last time you seen a blitz? And you just like, it's been a long time.
It's been a minute, and then I think I think Kyler wound up running on a blitz maybe like 2 plays later, but it didn't quite hit home. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, they must. I swear they're listening to the show. You know what I'm saying?
It was just like right afterwards. It's like,
Yeah.
This motherfucker came on the blitz, but it's just too much of that. It's like this standard of we get home with 4. I wish they shut the fuck up with that, because we don't have the team that gets home with 4. Not right now.
We have, but traditionally we just haven't. Our front 4 just hasn't been hitting home. So what are you gonna do? Are we just not ever gonna pressure the quarterback? That can't be the answer, right? And I don't expect it to be the answer for Eric Washington. You know,
This motherfucker.
that's kind of right.
Scrolls retarded to the motherfucker. Raisin.
He like rum and raisin.
What the fuck?
Ain't nothing wrong.
The chocolate chip. I need some different stuff out there.
Ain't nothing wrong with no rum and raisin. It's good. That's good.
I ain't never seen no shit like that. You told me there ain't nothing wrong with it. I ain't never even seen no shit like that.
You've never had no rum and raisin?
Fuck no.
Damn, bro, where you living at, bro? You need to go to Baskin Robbins, dog.
Dog, I ain't never seen no.
They got 31 different flavors up in that motherfucker.
Right, you do that little bitty spoon. You be like, "Can I get some of that?" And you can have as many samples as you want. Don't let them sweat you like that. Don't let them give you no side-eye. Just be, let me try that one. Let me try that one. Let me try that one.
I don't believe you like blew his mind with the rum and raisin.
Dog, I ain't never seen. I can't eat like regular ice cream like normal humans. I'm lactose intolerant, so I can't just be running around eating ice cream and shit.
Oh, you need sherbet. You gotta stick to sherbet.
I'm just ask the question. I'm pretty sure. I bet you all 4 of us are, because I definitely am.
Oh
So
yeah, definitely.
Eating it then.
Orange sherbet is my favorite.
Go get yourself some ice cream. Go to Baskin Robbins. At the very least, taste. Just do what Triple X telling you. Go to Baskin. They'll give you a little pink spoon. They'll give you a little pink spoon. You'll get a little taste of rum and raisin, and then go, I like it, and leave. And you're straight. You won't be in the washer.
Leave it to fucking kids and the scrolls to change everything up. Yeah, damn. We talk about rums and raisins.
Well, but the thing is, we can do the lactose intolerant thing because all it is a little farting.
Yeah,
That ain't never killed nobody.
It's a little more than that.
Hey, man, you just need to get out a little more, Nomad. Try some new stuff. That's all I'm saying.
I just don't fuck with ice cream. I love strawberry ice cream. I love strawberry ice cream, and I love pecan butter pecan. I love.
It's like saying I only drive Chevys. I would never try to drive a Corvette. What? Just you ain't gonna buy it. Just try it out once or twice.
What's up, Sean? If let's just say I'm a podcaster now, and you never know when we have to do podcasts, so fucking around with ice cream, knowing that I'm lactose intolerant, ain't conducive to knowing that I might have to hop up out of the ass blue and do a podcast. That ain't gonna work too well, man. So fuck y'all. You go eat some ice cream. I can't afford to.
Wow.
Get some froyo in this
Definitely,
you know.
I'm telling you, definitely amateur hour with this lactose intolerance thing. Because when it comes down to it, dog, if there's caramel cone explosion available, lactose intolerance be damned. I don't give a rat's.
I never even heard of that.
That's what that Lions player had, ain't it? He had some ice cream before the game.
Oh,
you had that picture, Nomad.
Yeah, to bail out.
Oh, you talking about that?
You know, my man, he's lactose. So he had a little ice cream sundae, on Sunday before the game. And he thought it was a fart, but
don't hit the Haagen-Dazs before the football game. Not a good idea for a player. You know what I mean? If you're going on the field, don't do it.
Or he said Taquero Taco Bell or something right before the game. One of them. You got some Taco Bell.
Just make an appointment for the toilet.
Just go Italian and get you some gelato, and you'll be all right.
That's what I gotta eat, man. I can't just eat regular. I can't eat regular ice cream.
Like I say, it's to each his own. Like when it comes down to it, I'm not gonna eat like the whole. Haagen-Dazs is like this big or whatever, a little thing. Like I can't eat it like when I was young. I have a couple of scoops of it, satisfy, and go put that thing away for another day. You know what I mean? Just get the flavor, get the taste. But after that, I should be all right.
I hear you, Nick. I just seen that commercial. I just seen that commercial yesterday. That
Oh,
fucking
they know
caramel,
Joe, baby.
that caramel
See,
frosty.
that's why you need to go to Dairy Queen and get you a
I can't. I'm not one of them aliens that put fucking French fries in my frosty. But that caramel frosty, caramel salty.
Yeah, you're not very adventurous with the foods.
I
I don't like
I
for a
don't
guy who got Triple R on the show. You know what I mean?
I'm not alien and I'm not a follower. I don't do that shit.
Well, yeah, but if you dip your Wendy's French fries into a chocolate frosty, that's good as fuck.
Oh man, y'all dudes got sweet tooth, man.
So you ain't never been to Dairy Queen and got you a Blizzard.
Yeah,
They salted caramel Blizzard off the chain with a little bit of peanut butter. Woo! I'm telling you, see.
Heath bar and strawberry. Get that. Get that. Heath bar and strawberry. Get that blend. And it'll change your world. I haven't eaten one of them in years, dude.
I mean, it's off. I mean, like vanilla bean.
Like who did that first though with the frosty? I swear it was
pistachio almond. I mean, it's just so many different flavors, and it's like, yeah, they're all delicious. And it just seems just weird. It's like I only get one or two flavors, and that's all I can fuck with. It's like, but what about the rest of the taste buds on your tongue? You know, you're neglecting them. You know, they want to enjoy some stuff too, but like the lactose intolerant, you know, that's a little different. That's a little different. If you don't mind just, you know, blowing out the place, or, you know, maybe you might shit yourself every now and again. Flus did it all the time every day on Sunday on national TV. You know what I'm saying? You can have a little ice cream, you'll be all right.
I'm just saying though, Nick, did you just put fries in your frosty on your own, or did you see one of them fucking commercials and turn into a goddamn alien like everybody else? Nobody was thinking about putting no fucking fries in no frosty. Nobody.
Somebody did it. Somebody did it. Like I'm trying to think who. Like somebody was just like, you know, they're eating a frosty and ate it. But I'm trying to think. It was like Ferris Bueller or somebody like that.
When he went to Wendy's and he got a frosty and some French fries. That's what he could afford, and mixed it together and was like, "Hey, this ain't so bad."
And he said he's been doing it since he was like 11.
Again, show of hands on who's had who's dipped a French fry in a frost.
I never did no shit. Like
Gino? Oh, okay. I was like, I'm super surprised.
Yeah. He lying. You see how he heard him put his hand down? He lying like a motherfucker. He ain't did that.
Well, I'm supposed to hold it up all night long. Yeah.
He said, yeah, he did it. He did it. All right. I'm just checking. It's just one of them things. It's not even particularly good.
I ain't coming to nan one of you motherfuckers cookout because there's gonna be some raisins in the potato salad and shit like that. I ain't doing it.
You're gonna be missing some.
I ain't doing it
at my house.
More food for the rest of us.
Yeah, wow, man. I don't. Dog, I like fries. Like I used to like a lot of ketchup on my fries. Now I realize I enjoy the taste out of that potato and the salt on it, and I really think the ketchup for the most part gets the fucking away. So I really love the taste of potato, and so put a little salt on it and eat it. That's just the purest thing in the world with a burger, man. Purest thing in the world. But how did we stray off of this topic? Thank you, kids, for coming in here talking about Frosties and fucking French fries and doing all that, man. We're talking about football. Let's get back to it real quick because what did you think about that pressure, or did you even have a chance to look at it?
Yeah, so I watched. If you're talking about the Thomas presser, I watched that, and I also watched the Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles there this morning, and is what it is. I say that. I also listened to DJ Moore's comments this morning on Mully and Haw. It's more or less exactly as I assumed across the board, meaning, you know, George McCaskey's the culprit, and everybody's doing their best not to say that, and that's fine. You know, it is what we kind of all believe it to be, and always thought it was. You know, Flus was brought in before Poles, and Poles decided that he was his guy and was the company man until this whole idea fell flat on its face, and now he's holding the bag. So here we are. It's exactly as I expected it to have been, and everybody sort of did what they could to not really admit that. But I think the writing's on the wall, you know. As far as Thomas Brown is concerned, super loved everything he had to say. Sounds like a very detail and results-oriented guy. So I expect to see good things. Pleased with that. As far as DJ is concerned, DJ kind of confirmed all of the, he confirmed sort of the locker room side of all of this and, kind of how far back the loss of the locker room went with Flus, as well as Jaylon Johnson losing his mind over Flus. And I could kind of see that coming because the previous game, not the Lions game, the game before, there was I believe it was Courtney Cronin on one of the other shows was saying like she was looking for Jaylon Johnson to talk to him after the game, and he was gone. And he like bolted out immediately after the previous game. He didn't want to talk to nobody. He bailed, and everybody found that weird. But he was on a talk show. He's on a talk show every week.
That's not weird, man. That's pretty standard, man. Motherfuckers get that emotional. It's an emotional goddamn game, and I don't know if you saw his 670 interview when he was talking about the whole thing. And part of that, the conversation was, he's emotional about it because I'm 5 years into this and all we done is losing. And it gets to a certain point, you can't hold your frustrations in no more. And I'm a snap.
That's 1,000,000%.
Well, and especially when you as a team are in a position to win and the coach, shits the bed. And it's happened more than once. And, for the fourth time in a season to where it's like, hey, we want to go to the playoffs. We want to battle here. But our coach keeps messing things up, and then blaming us for it. How many times can you hear that before us? We're like, look, man, get gone with that bullshit. You can only hear that so many times.
And the person who says to go on with that BS has to be a person of stroke, right? Like it can't just be, it can't be Tariq Stevenson or it really couldn't be anybody else besides Jaylon. Jaylon is the one guy who's a veteran of the team. There's a couple other guys you could consider veterans, but I think him and Cole Kmet, right? Like it's one of the other
guys that get paid, like Montez Sweat, Cole Kmet, Jaylon Johnson, guys who have just signed a new deal, who know they're going to be here, and the team leaders.
And he did say, and Kez, he did say that they did ask him, were you speaking on behalf of the team or were you speaking individually? He made it clear that no, this ain't had shit to do with nobody else. This was me.
No,
I felt this, and I said it.
He can't, but again, it's from a place of leadership, right? Because to understand that he's held that back for, let's say, 3 solid years now. You know what I mean? Like, let's just push it right back. He's been holding that back for quite some time. There's been a lot of losing going on, a lot of bad. This guy's a historically bad coach. Not good stuff by way of Jaylon Johnson to talk about. And he's told the company line quite well this entire time. For him to bail last week, I didn't find it surprising. I thought it was actually, I was just like, it's starting to get to Jaylon. You know what I mean? Jaylon's had about it.
I saw it building up, kids. I saw it simmering on. In his interviews, I'm looking at his body language, and Nick's saying it right here. That didn't come out of nowhere. This is what he said. He said for Jaylon to cuss him out the way he did, it's been boiling for a hot minute.
Oh yeah.
Hey, well, check this out. What they really didn't allude to is he damn near put hands on Flus. He was trying to leave the stadium so he didn't get no charges of assault because he wanted to whoop his behind. He was like, I got to get out of Detroit. I'm finna spend the weekend up in here where I can go home and be with my family. Because
I ain't never experienced,
buddy.
I experienced a locker room similar to that when I was a junior. I think I was a junior in high school. We had a coach that was just, and it went up on the bus on the way out of the game. We got our ass kicked, and motherfuckers got on the bus and was celebrating and having a good time like we didn't just get our ass kicked. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I was the one that ignited it. I'm just like, motherfucker. And it was like the seniority thing, man. It was like the senior players and shit. They got per diem for seats and shit. You know, like I'm sitting here and everybody else sit where the fuck you ain't no senior, so you ain't got shit to say. It was that kind of shit going on. And then motherfuckers got on the bus and was just like it wasn't shit. And it was just like, I was just like, man, fuck y'all, man. And I don't give a fuck what nobody got to say about it. We can get it on here. And it was like that. And it went up on the bus. And nobody throwing on hands, but it got close. But you know, situations like that, it's like when you get tired of losing, somebody got to say something, right? You can't just keep that like Flus had. There was no coming back from this. I was trying to convey that to kids in FFG, but you know, the history of the Bears and how they operate, I understand why they took the line they took. It's like, man, y'all, you talking shit. No, man, ain't no way they're going to continue to do what they've been doing. But I can tell you, after a certain amount of time, that shit gets old, and this motherfucker went into a prayer like he normally does after a game and went into that same spiel that he normally does after the game. You're gonna do this and do that, and we're just gonna work on our techniques and fundamentals and practice. And Jay was like, fuck that shit. What you talking about, man? You fucking us up. And it went up. And it went up from there because as a player, you listen to the guy saying that. What other choice do you have but to be supportive of what he's saying? Because it's true. Man, I'm tired of listening to you, bro. The shit you talking about ain't shit. You don't know what you're doing. Get the fuck out of here. And he left the locker room, bro.
Like I said,
what else can you say?
I can't blame him for a minute. Can't blame him.
Man, it was I would have loved to have been in there because it was a long time coming, and you can't keep going through all of that dysfunction knowing that your coach is the one that's costing you these games. It's got to be 3 or 4 games just this year alone. Just this year alone. You know, how long can you deal with that without popping? You know? What the hell?
I don't know.
Ugly Cole Komet. Like Bizarro World Cole Komet if he didn't go to the gym.
That's auto racing Cole Komet.
Sorry. Thanks, girls. Oh man, that's crazy. I don't know how you found this guy, but maybe Scrolls is a NASCAR guy. I don't know.
Man, hey, at some point, Leroy, he should have been afraid of Jaylon Johnson, man, because I'm glad he didn't get to the point where it raised to that level where he actually was able to get to him and put hands on him, because that could have got extremely ugly. But the story goes, also normally they go in the locker room after the game, and the press is given like I think they said 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes, to get guys out and start giving. They'll let the guys in and start, doing interviews and put the microphone in front of, or the phones in front of people's faces and get quotes and comments. It was well after 30 minutes, and I guess I was looking at Adam Hogan John's interview. Johns was in there, and he's the one that kind of broke all of that kind of story, and it was bad, man, and it was time. Jaylon is they say Jaylon is a hero right now. I would agree with that, man, because it needed to get to that level. I don't know that without Jaylon taking it to that level, to that next level, that we're not seeing Matt Eberflus still as a head coach.
Well,
because
it also it's different. Oh, I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's kind of natural segue right there. It just kind of hits different with Jaylon Johnson saying it, because not only is he one of the leaders, young guys, he's been here. It's not like DJ Moore coming in saying something. Jaylon's been here for the good flus, the bad flus, and every flus in between. And it's like, flus. Like, dude, you suck. It's like, now you embarrassing us. This is Thanksgiving. All of our former teammates, classmates, all the families watching it. You embarrassing us out here like this, and then week after week, nah. And then Kevin Warren was like, "Yo, go ahead, Eberflus, go on bounce, go and get some air," and then had to settle down in the locker room. And that's when the locker room just be quiet. Don't nobody be saying shit, except Jaylon is like, Mo is just laying in the cut. Like what they saying? Oh shit, he's snapping. Oh word? Oh shit. You know, they're just laying back like, get him, Jalen, get him, get
Hey,
him.
you see
That's-
this right here?
that's-
Hey, you see this right here, Trips? Where Daryl Gibson says Jalen didn't get that C, that captain on his chest.
Hmm.
And you got to remember, you take it back to I think it was a year ago or two when Flus, I think it was 2 years ago when they first got here, and they demoted Jalen from the starting corner to the third string cornerback, and he had to work his way back up. And everybody was just like, what the fuck is going on? Why would he do that? And Jalen probably felt like he was getting singled out. But apparently they worked through all of that. And, you know, Jalen, I don't think Jalen ever let that go, to be honest with you. I don't think he ever let that go, even though they worked through it. Go ahead, kid.
He did. You know when he let it go? That time when they cut that check to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's about that simple. Like, you know what I'm saying? They cut that check. It's like, oh, water under the bridge.
Hey, y'all keep talking. I got to pop out for a second.
End of the day, like he should have a C on his chest. Don't know why he doesn't. Doesn't make much difference to me, man. I'm glad somebody cussed the man out. Miguel's out there. Miguel Goncalves is saying Jalen should be, you should be punished for putting hands on Flus. I don't think he put hands on Flus. If he did put hands on Flus, Jalen Johnson, you deserve a high five from me, man. High five. That's all I can really offer you, dog. But you know what I mean? You deserve somebody needed to do something to that man. And I'm glad they got him out before he was hurt. But at the same time, somebody needed to do something because the reality is it affects all y'all. You know what I mean? All of them. It's not just Flus who's been fired. Like, Flus has been fired, but, losing has a negative effect on everybody's paycheck as they move forward, right? Everybody's tenure, everybody's career. And it's important to these guys, especially a guy like Jalen. Jalen was in a situation this year where, he was vying for Pro Bowl. That was his goal. I want to be a Pro Bowl player again this year. That's what I'm trying to do. I was an alternate last year. I want to be a traditional Pro Bowl guy and be on that top 100 list that they keep ignoring me from. And there's no way either one of those things are happening this year. And I can really, I'm sure he's pointing at Matt Eberflus as a major reason as to why, But big ups to you, Jalen, man. Mad props. And what you're saying there, Triple R, that was kind of like DJ Moore's recollection of it because they were like, oh, like, did you see Jalen Johnson go crazy? He's like, oh, man, I was in the training room.
Right. Oh, no, I
didn't see nothing, but I heard some stuff. I kind of heard some things go down, but I didn't see anything go down.
Hey, check this out. Rex Smith saying, and I did see this on Jerk. I did see this when I seen this little clip of a podcast. Rex Smith says Jerko said all the types of problems with the captains. Says that they don't have any offense and defensive linemen in the captains group. That is strange. That is very strange. How can you have a captains group and don't have those guys represented?
No Montez Sweat. Montez Sweat is not a captain.
No Montez Sweat, no Javon Dexter, no.
I can understand the rest of the line on both sides because it's all rookies.
Jones, no, one of those motherfuckers from each one of those groups. None of them. And he said right away that was a problem.
Well, again, they're all rookies, right? Like who's the leader on that offensive line to you guys?
Wouldn't it be Tevin?
You would think, but you don't know how you don't.
That's a good call.
It's a natural choice, right? It's like what you would think would be if there's got to be a leader plucked from that group. If you got to pluck one, it would be Tevin, right? But who knows, man? I just don't. I didn't get that, man, whatsoever. I didn't get that whatsoever. But I really didn't even notice it or pay attention to it until I heard Jerko talking about it.
It is interesting to look at. Very simply put, though, those two groups are very youthful, very young, and clear leader on the defensive line to me would be Montez Sweat. I don't know if he wants a leadership role in that respect, but everybody else is definitely his junior and or just junior on the team. Similar things can be said on that offensive line. Maybe like you say Tevin, but Tevin was hurt the better part of the beginning of the year when they're handing out those C's and stuff. So tricky, right? I don't
Yeah,
know.
but I mean, who else is left? You got, Darnell Wright. I think he's a little too young.
It's too young.
Nate Davis was never there.
You got Darnell Wright.
You need to give him an F and a U instead of a C.
That goes. I'm just going to leak part of the conversation that we're going to have on some extra sauce on Wednesday, but this is part of it. Is what you have on the offensive line is Darnell Wright and 4 cans of corn. That's what we got. We got 4 canned goods for the rest of them, man. It's what it is. And you're talking about having to overhaul that. That's going to be part of what we have to do in the offseason. Is that's what we have. We got Darnell Wright is the only stalwart on that line, and we got 4 cans of corn. And whatever else behind them is that. You know what I mean? There's really not a whole lot that you can really hang your hat on. Maybe Bryson Jones as a swing tackle. That's good. But you got to find hogs on the outside and on the inside of the offensive line. Center all the way for both guards and everything. Because Pryor ain't gonna be here. Neither is Shelton. None of these dudes ain't gonna be here. Tevin probably ain't gonna be here.
I don't know about that. I think if somehow Coleman Shelton leaves this team in the offseason, I'm gonna be real mad.
Coleman Shelton ain't shit.
Oh, I'm not saying he is. I'm saying he's way better than everything else we have at center. We have nothing at center, so let's let go of the one thing we have at center that's not botching snaps on a weekly basis and is actually semi holding up. They cannot, you know what I mean? They cannot let go of Coleman Shelton.
So you going with a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. I
like to put 2 in the bush as well. But
settle down, Canada. Settle down, Canada.
You led me right down there, man. You know what I mean?
It's the weakest part of the team, and just the fact that I'm sitting here saying that we got Darnell Wright and some canned goods is sad. We could have done better than that. You know what I mean? A lot better than that. We got the resources. We had them. We fucked that up.
See, Nick is saying that Shelton might be the 5th rated PFF center. I'm just gonna say somehow, PFF really had this offensive line looking like solid gold there earlier into the season. So I can't really hear all the PFF stuff. But regardless, he's an upgrade from anything we had at center last year, with the slight exception of Lucas Patrick when healthy. Right, Lucas Patrick when healthy was a good. He was a mean streak. It was the one thing that he was mean, and he was sort of that alpha dog on the line. I liked it, but unfortunately gone. Doing well in other places right now as we speak. Right, he's playing very well in New Orleans. But in any event, I think Shelton is definitely worth keeping. Not a heavy price tag to keep him. You keep him. Keep that guy on the field, and hopefully they do upgrade it just a scroll to saying, hopefully they do upgrade at the center position. And now we've got depth. It's that magical depth thing we keep talking about that just never materializes. But, see, AC Adam ain't mad at Shelton. I'm not mad at Shelton either. I think he's
mad at him, man. I just know, man, that ain't the answer, dog. That's just.
I'm not saying he is, but I'm saying let's not, what's the saying? Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's the saying.
Well, they could have signed for next to nothing at the beginning of the season when he was hurt, and now you could have Connor Williams starting, and now you could pay him a decent salary over the next couple of years, and now you only got to replace 3 quality offensive linemen in the draft or in free agency.
Well, I heard he was retiring.
No, he playing starting for Seattle right now.
I knew he was starting for Seattle, but there was contemplation of retirement. Man, I guess he changed his mind. I don't know.
The paychecks,
but I don't want no more players who's contemplating retirement or coming off injuries or
I remember talking about the offensive line and Braxton Jones in particular. I remember the No Maniacs getting on me and saying, "No man, I'm gonna whip your ass." All you do is come on here and talk about socks and shit. We don't need no left tackle. We got Braxton Jones. See, I'm just saying, man.
Well, do you guys actually think with a year to heal and actually get to practice, have a training camp, that Karan Amagaji is actually going to bear fruit?
Man, he can't stay healthy.
We ain't seen enough of them to say. How we gonna have an educated assessment of that? And that motherfucker ain't even seen the field other than a couple of snaps, and then he was hurt again.
Yo, those snaps were bad too. Like, let's just focus on that for a second. They were not good snaps.
So I'm just saying, and Ryan Poles as an evaluator, as being an offensive lineman, do you think that's his strength, or he really need to step back in that regard because he played the position?
You know what, FFG?
Matt Ryan in college make him great evaluator.
Somebody in the chat said this, and I can't remember who exactly said it. And it was true, man. There's a certain level of arrogance to what Ryan Poles did with the offensive line in the offseason. And not only that, I don't know who's consulting him. Who are you talking to so that you got to this conclusion that we're going to the season with this offensive line and a rookie quarterback? What the fuck was you thinking about, dude? You got Ian Cunningham as your right-hand man. Who are y'all talking to that made you? Was it some kind of salary cap decision that y'all was trying to make? Was it? I really over-evaluate what our offensive line coach can do. I don't know, but somewhere in that sauce, one of those two motherfuckers is true, and both of them's fucked up.
Don't do it, bro. Like right now, our faith has to be put back carefully into the hands of Ryan Poles. So let's try not to question what you just questioned, because it opens up more questions. Like, why wouldn't you fix it? Why wouldn't you draft another guy? Why wouldn't you get a guy in free agency? Why would you put more money into the wide receiver position, not just in free agency, but then again in the draft? Either and or would have been fine. I agree with getting a wide receiver, but you can't leave the offensive line cupboard bare. You got to do something there. Okay, well, you got Karan. Wait a minute. Karan's hurt? Oh, snap. So you didn't get anything? What did you do? Then you got a punter? Like, the list gets really bad if we do this, and I don't like doing it. I'm getting sick of doing it. It's all back in his lap again, and he's gonna run this thing the right way. The only upside for me to saving grace right now is there isn't as many holes this season as there was last season. So hopefully he can actually fill them now with the capital he has. That's what I'm hoping. But one thing to be said about Karan is built different, right? Like, he's built different, so things like a bull rush shouldn't really be as hard for him to manage moving forward, but he has to get the reps. He has to get the opportunity to test those waters and get out there and play football, because right now I'm not sure if Braxton's really cutting it either, man. But.
So I'm looking at 115 in the chat. I see you, Trips. I'm going to give it to you. 115 in the chat. Man, y'all please go hit that like button. And anybody new to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel, man, because I know we're enjoying this content. We enjoy giving it to you. But if you think it's comprehensive enough so that you felt like your time was well spent, hit the subscribe button. That's all we ask is to earn it. And I believe that we've done that so far, man. And we keep it going. But Trips, what say you about this whole thing?
Well, starting out, gotta give a sorry that you got cut to Trenton Gill, who got released from Tampa Bay, for shanking him. And then look at, our fourth round pick, getting awards for kicking him 48, 49 yards on average. So, I mean, yeah, it's a talented position, a talented kid in the position, rather. But at the time, we need trench help, both sides of the ball. And Amagaji could be good, but we drafted him hurt. Then he came back and he's been hurt, twice, two different, hurts. And it's like, goddamn, maybe he has propensity to be hurt. Why don't we try drafting some healthy dudes for a change? And so, looking at, the the makeup of the offensive line at the beginning of the season or to start, you're looking at Wright, Nate Davis, and then you Bates at center maybe, and then Tev and Braxton Jones. But then, Davis is checked out mentally, physically, quiet, quit, whatever the fuck he did. So the statement that Poles made at the beginning of the season was a true one when he said he has more depth than he's had on this offensive line. It's just that we wasn't expecting the depth to be starting like prior. And then, Bates getting hurt. So he's not out there. And so now you got Kramer and then Tev is doing his Tev thing, and Braxton Jones still getting pushed back into the quarterback, but he's nasty out on the run blocking, so it's just a very inept offensive line. Defensive line can't get pressure. Nobody can seem to beat one-on-one coverage because they've had plenty of practice doing that because that's what Flus ran. So yeah, I don't understand how Poles coming from Kansas City, he played offensive line, in college. He was in Kansas City when they built that offensive line, and nothing here. And then Ian Cunningham, assistant general manager, he was in Philadelphia when they built that offensive line, nothing here. So I have no idea what's going on, but I'm sure, because like stated, every other position group is full of, draft picks and free agents. Ain't nothing left but the trenches.
What's funny, Trips? You talking about this, and I was looking at the Philly. What was it? Philly and somebody the other night. What was it? Philly and
Baltimore.
Baltimore. Okay, yeah, you're right. Baltimore. And I'm looking at those offensive lines. And I'm looking at Philly's offensive line. They took a number 1 pick, Mekhi Becton, that was billed to be the next best left tackle ever. Didn't work out at left tackle because he's big and he's plotty. What I mean by plotty is his feet aren't as fast as you would like your left tackle to be, but he's huge. What they did is take that guy off their hands, put him on their starting offensive line, put him inside, kick him inside to guard. And lo and behold, you got what is his name? The center, I can't think of his name right up, Jurgensen or whatever his name is. You got that guy. That offensive line on the right side of Philly, they are some mammoths. And there's no fucking question why. Now, I'm not taking nothing away from Saquon Barkley. Nothing. Saquon Barkley is a dog that needed to be on a dog-ass team with a dog-ass offensive line, and that's what they got. They put the guy in the right place, and he is flourishing in Philly just because they grabbed him and said, okay, you want to throw him in the garbage because you're in New York and he didn't, fit the billing that you guys built him up to be. We'll take him and show you what to do with him. Kick him inside and turn him into a stud. And he's absolutely mauling people. Absolutely. Mekhi Becton, I'm telling you, the all 22 for him, woo, I'm telling you talking about why is Saquon Barkley tearing up the league? Man, look no further than that right side of the line. Mekhi Becton is tearing shit up over there, and they got him for nothing. They got him for a can of corn, basically. But it's just about committing to it. It's about committing to it, knowing what you have in a player, and putting that player in a position that he can flourish. I just believe, for some reason, that if Thomas Brown is given this opportunity, he's going to know those kinds of situations and know where to put guys to flourish. Instead of forcing guys to play a certain role because this is what I decided you should play. You got to have the instincts to know that this ain't working out. Let me move him here and let him get down for what it's worth. That's what we ain't seeing, but I got a feeling we're gonna see that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, there's a whole lot of hubris coming out of this here off season, moving into to this season. A lot of hubris. Great word. Now that it's basically done, we're looking at a situation where Ryan definitely knows what holes he has, and he should have the capital to go and attack each and every single one of them. The question is, how will he attack them, and to what end. So it'll be real interesting to see what he does at this point. Really, I'm just interested in seeing. I'm interested in seeing what Thomas Jones and Eric Washington can do. That's really where my headspace is for all of this. Because man, there's that O line's going to be completely overhauled, right? So I'll say that now. I don't know what's going to happen to a guy like Tevin Jenkins. I wish. Where's the wood? You gotta be knock on some wood. I hope Tevin Jenkins is a Chicago Bear, period, for the next 5 years. I'm not sure that's going to be the case. He's the one.
Tevin, I don't know what happened, man, but for whatever reason, y'all guys can argue with me and tell me I'm wrong. But for whatever reason, Tevin Jenkins all of a sudden became stiff as a damn ironing board. It's like that guy all of a sudden can't move. He's not fluid. Guys are beating him right off the line, just getting right off the ball and just beating him. One move and they're past him. I'm seeing that constantly on film. And I don't know if it's got anything to do with some kind of injury he's got going on, if the neck situation is worse than what we thought it was. But for whatever reason, Tevin Jenkins is not what I expected him to be. He is really stiff, and I don't know why, man. I don't know if anybody else notices that but me.
Well, he was coming off of that back injury a couple seasons ago, and if anybody who's had back issues, those things never go away. They just subside for a little bit, and then he had like an ankle issue. So
nope, double knees, both knees.
There you go.
So his
mobility is hurting there, and it's just obvious because he's not moving right. I mean, you can just look at him and tell. It's like, what's wrong with this dude? Why is he so robotic? And why is he so slow out of his stance? He can't move. And being that this is his contract year, and it's like, oh, bro, you messing up some money out there, baby boy, because he's a beast otherwise. When he can play and when he, is out there mauling people like he does, but it's just not enough. Just not enough. Because you look at some of these offensive lines that we lust over, and they got guys that have played together like every down for like 2-3 seasons or some shit. And it's like, damn, we can't even get our guys to stay healthy 2-3 games.
Okay, I'm gonna say something stupid now, just for the sake of saying
that, Chris. Before you say that, Chris, take it easy in the chat. Don't eat up the chat. Give other people a chance to chat, man. Don't hit it up too hard, bro. Slow down.
Chris Foster, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say it out loud. I really hope Tevin Jenkins, as I knocked on wood earlier, I will do one more time. I hope he is a Chicago Bear long term. I like the kid. I like most of the kids that we draft, right? Like I'm loyal to them, and I believe the rest of you guys are too. I have a strange feeling he may not wind up here next season just because of the regular stuff, injury, etc. If he winds up leaving, would anybody here be surprised to see him playing left tackle?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You'd be surprised?
Oh yeah.
At
this point, nah, I don't see that at all.
Really, what I want to see.
I want to say it out loud and say, like, watch Tevin Jenkins wind up as a quality left tackle for another team.
If it does, I will put that out there. You know what? That's one of those things that we all had a problem with when Eberflus took over, was to immediately, and Chris Morgan was to immediately take him out of that role and not give him an opportunity to compete for that role. And that ended up being Borum, right? Ended up being Borum over there competing for the left tackle spot.
Anybody but him.
Yeah, it was. I didn't get that. It was like
at the start. That's why he's making all that money.
You would think Tevin must have rubbed somebody the wrong way and something happened, but that shit was bogus, man. Looking back on it now in hindsight, I know where you're going, kids, and neutered is probably the best way to describe that.
I just like Yeah, so the only reason I'm saying stuff like that is because you've been talking about Braxton Jones for a minute now, and like I don't think Tevin Jenkins has those same problems, right? Like he's got problems of his own. Maybe he's not lateral enough or quick. He may not move laterally as quick as Braxton might. Perhaps his arms are shorter. Perhaps. These are things to keep into consideration, but he was a tackle, right? That's why he was drafted here. He was drafted here to be that tackle. He never got the opportunity except for a few games with Matt Nagy, and then he got hurt. Right, so it's very strange to me that he never got the opportunity. We've been sitting here staring at a situation where Braxton's getting bull rushed. And Tevin's still on the line, not getting that opportunity ever. It's just weird to me. And just watch somebody go, where were you drafted again? You're drafted to do what? Oh, man. We need a left tackle. You know what I'm saying? And off he goes, and we'll see how he does. But I don't know. That would drive me nuts. That would drive me crazy.
I can tell you exactly what happened. His rookie year, he came in thinking he was hot stuff, and he was broke up from college. Kind of like Amagaji was, right?
Yeah.
And then he didn't play. So that his first year was a waste for a draft pick. The second year he came in like, well, I'm the left tackle. And it was like, well, you need to compete for the job because you didn't play it last year. So we're not gifting you nothing. And when you got beat out by Larry Borum and we had to move you inside, that should have told him something right then and there, that his health and his ability wasn't what he thought it was. That's why he's been playing guard ever since, because he's not good enough on the NFL level to play tackle. Now, he's a monster on the inside when healthy, but if you look at his career, that's less than half the time. So he can't complain. He can't argue with nobody, because the most important playing the NFL is availability. And if you ain't out there, you can't earn the money that you want to get or that you're already getting paid. So he needs to reevaluate his health consistently and work hard at being a constant professional. I know he's done better since he's been married and had a kid, but he can't stay on the field. And for whatever reason, he's just injury prone. And that's not the guy I want to rely on going forward at any position. So that's why they need to get rid of, from Darnell Wright all the way across the board, and put quality non-hurt people, because they signed Ryan Bates. Has he played in a whole game yet this season, where he started from start to finish? No.
That might be a little calculated, FFG. And I gotta give Chris Foster, because Chris comes in like a hot ass iron and really, really comes in here scorching hot. And he goes, but sometimes I think because he goes so hard, people tend to forget. Every now and again you hit one. But he says this. Chris Foster says Post got lucky with Braxton, so he thinks he can find O-linemen late in drafts. It's not working. I do believe that's correct. I think he got fly. I think he found Braxton and got a little bit fly because that developed and worked, and he went to that modus operandi and continued that mindset and tried to and said, you know what, I can get guys later in the draft, and I can work them and build them into something. I think that's absolutely correct, man. And that might be one of the flaws he came in here with.
Well, but also you got to look at it and the lack of offensive development, because you look at all the guys that he drafted late round or not that aren't here, not developed, other than Kramer, who was a part-time fullback, whatever that's all about. But how does not only Poles have the hubris to go into that, but the team around him, the Ian Cunninghams and the rest of the staff, to go like, hey, this offensive line, what are we doing to address that? Because, damn. And there's like nobody is saying anything. And
they're smelling themselves, bro. They're smelling themselves.
But I mean, they can look at the stats as like, how many times has your quarterback been sacked and or hurried? What is there to smell other than like very stinky?
shit. Yeah, that's what the smell smelled like. But I guess roses really smell like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know how it works, but they thought there was something going on there. I don't know why. I don't have a viable explanation for it. But he really thought something was popping there. It wasn't. There was nothing popping at all. I don't know, man. It got so bad, right? It got so bad. So, you know, one more again, he's got the capital to fix this. So I hope this thing is fixed. I hope they get into free agency and they get the left tackle in free agency done. Pay that dude. I don't care who he is. He needs to be a caliber left tackle. You pay him, retain him, and he's your linchpin. Call it a day. There's the guy you put a C. You're paying that guy. You put a C on his chest. He's your O-line guy. Pay that guy. In free agency, who's proven. Do it. That's where
I'm gonna give you a chance to correct yourself because I believe you misspoke when you said that
he did.
From Darnell Wright all the way over, we need to get rid of them all. And ATF is saying he don't agree with that. Not Wright. I don't agree with that. He says Wright's the only one I would keep on that line. I know you didn't mean Darnell Wright. So
I didn't. I meant going the other direction.
Right.
There you go.
So is it me or do we have a competent scouting staff? Because almost every other position in the draft, they've done really well at, for the most part. So can y'all agree on that?
Say that one more time.
Almost every other position, they've done well. They've got quality starters at a lot of different positions other than offensive, defensive line in these drafts. But everything else around it, they've been knocking it out of the park. So is there not listening to the scouting reports or the scouting staff and saying, hey, this is the dude that we need to look into? Or is it Poles over in Cunningham overriding come draft day and said, I like this kid. I'd rather have him, or I can wait to get this other guy later because I think he's just as good and we don't got to waste as much draft capital on him.
Well, let's look at that also. I mean, Ryan Poles drafted Zach Pickens. Pickens ain't showed nothing. You know, is it because he's been hurt and not really able to begin on track? Or is it, you know, a bad pick? You know, he drafted Tyreek Stevenson and Terrell Smith. Terrell Smith, when he can stay on the field, looks like a better corner. Tyreek Stevenson can't get out of his own head. I mean, did we see when Williams threw the ball in Stevenson's face while Stevenson was standing on the sidelines while the defense was on the field? But you look at the different angle, and you see that Stevenson stuck his foot out and tripped him on the way up. And it's like, dude, what Tyreek, baby, Bubby, what are we doing? You on the bench, and had that been seen by the refs, you know, there's another penalty. You hurt the team, not even on the field. And so, you know, mentally, you know, that's still a work in progress. So
for all the reasons I hate CJ Gardner-Johnson, I love Tariq Stevenson. I'm just gonna put it out there right now. I hate CJ. He's such a shit disturber. He's always in people's and everybody's behind, causing some kind of trouble, poking people in the mouth, stealing their mouthpieces and stuff. He's the worst. Can't stand the guy. Tariq Stevenson is just our version of CJ Gardner-Johnson, and I'm here for it.
This is a very crucial draft. This is the last of the capital from the Carolina Panthers trade. You know, that second round pick. And, you know, this is the last room of the team that really needs to be addressed. You know, rooms. You know, defensive line, offensive line more so. And then the other stuff you need, like tight end, or, you know, maybe grab another receiver, running back, or whatever. But, you know, this is a very make or break kind of offseason with the head coach hiring. Are we gonna fill the holes on this team so they can, you know, compete for taking the North and not giving it back? You know, there's a lot going on out here this offseason.
You know what, ATF, I got to mention, he put up a couple of good comments that rung a bell with me. He said, ATF says we don't have a competent drafting system, one. And he says Pickens has not been coached the right way. And I believe both of those things are true. Here's what I think the remedy is. And any good organization is a concert between the head coach and the GM. And so what Poles has done so far is gotten everything that pretty much that Matt Eberflus wants. That's what a good GM should do, is go and get the groceries that the coach is asking for. He's got to cook it. And we got
but wait, hold on. On that note, though, wasn't that Washington? That was his specialty, defensive line. You know, he came out specifically and was like, I'm working with the defensive line. And Flus ain't letting him do nothing else. So, well, I mean, Pickens has been coached.
I know where you're going, Trips. Here's why I think when I look at them on film, this is the problem. Flus is forcing him to play basically Andrew Billings. And he's not made like that. He's a 3-tech. Is what he is. He's a 3-tech, and so is Javon Dexter. Javon Dexter is more built to play what Zach Pickens is asked to do. And it's just like, why are you forcing this guy to be something that he isn't, instead of letting him flourish at the role that we all can see on film that he was good at? All you have to do is look at the film. And he just got him out of position.
I got an answer for all that. And it has to do with, like, why are they doubling down at certain positions for no good reason? Right? Like that was a double down. They picked Javon and literally picked him.
You gotta have depth. So any good team.
Well, hold on. You're right. We have to have depth, but depth at the expense of like other positions is kind of weird. No,
not necessarily. I think you got to be looking.
Why wouldn't you want to have a starter?
You almost have to be looking at their board and who they value, and if they thought that 3-tech and interior tackle was the real jewel of that part of the draft, then I can understand why they double dip on that. You know what I mean? But if let's just say edge rusher was the strength of that part of the draft, they probably would have double dipped there. I think that's what it was all about in particular. That's just me and what I would think.
Well, that is a good question. How are you going to have depth at one position but no frontline starters at the others?
This is what I'm trying to say. Like, how are you not starting an edge rusher when you could have picked up an edge rusher in that draft? Or how are you missing a left tackle or center when you could have picked up one of those two guys with the Zach Pickens pick, which is just a double down pick? Same question for Tyreek Stevenson / Terrell Smith at corner. Now,
you having an argument
down with Kyler Gordon, huh?
We can't really see that board to like look back on that and see why they doubled there. And looking at the rest of the guys on the board, you know, we needed interior tackle and we needed edge rusher. How good was the edge rusher spot? Or how good was the offensive line at that spot? I don't know. It's a good question, man. I hear
but we needed so much. Like, there's still holes now. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's still a bunch of holes now. For them to have gone and double dipped at that time was a little bit. It's definitely questionable at best, right? You would think that you would go and you would go and try to get starters to start at the positions of need across the board, as opposed to drafting for depth over starting players. That's weird to me.
Well,
that's questionable to me.
Again, the GM is in charge of getting the groceries that the head coach wanted. And so who do you want to lay the blame to that? You know what I mean? Any good relationship is in concert with the head coach. Head coach says, I got these guys on the board. Or the GM says, I got these guys on the board. Coach, what's your preference? And if his preference was a double dip at defensive tackle, who the fuck are we to sit there and judge it?
Well, it's definitely 2020. You know, hindsight is 2020 type situation. We're looking back at it now. But most definitely when those selections happened, I stopped and I was like, wait a minute. Like, do we need 2 guys at this position right now? And I guess like we kind of do, but who's the starter? Is it Javon? Okay, Javon's the starter. So this guy's not starting. He's going to be on a bench. Well, there's a hole on the offensive line.
You got to remember, kids, we can't. That was right after a season where we got fucking ran through.
You mean like this one? Or like last
one? I'm not talking about we was just motherfuckers just having their way with us on the ground. Like,
you mean like this year or like last year? Oh, let me do it again. Let me just.
I'm not trying to skirt that, but think about that. Think about that time and space. The motherfuckers was just like, oh my God, these motherfuckers can't stop nobody on the run. And then they double dip in that following draft at defensive tackle, and people were like, hell yeah. But now in hindsight, people looking at that like, what the fuck was we doing? So it's just like being a prisoner of the moment kind of shit right now, man. Javon Dexter, great pick. And so is Zach Pickens. He's just been playing out of position. That's all. We'll see what happens, though, from here on.
So, little things. First thing for me to say here is I don't know how involved Matt Eberflus was in all of that. I know you're throwing him. Ryan Poles worries the hell out of me, bro. Like he does, and he didn't. And like this, I'm saying this with my guy here. The power of Poles compels you. You know what I mean? Like this is my guy. Triple R's in the building. We love this guy. We wanted the best from this guy, and we watched it. And I'm at a point where, in retrospect, I look at it, and the list of question marks just don't stop. Like there's so many of them. I hope Nomad is bang on this one, and that maybe this was like a Flus idea to double down at these areas, and maybe building the team backwards was like a Flus thing. I just don't believe that. I think this is just how Ryan Poles decided to go to market. He got the groceries that were required, but he did it in his fashion, which is kind of what I would expect any GM to do. And if that's the case, he should be held to account for however those draft picks prevail. And at this point, not a lot of prevalence. So a lot more questions than anything else, and it worries me, guys. Like I wish I was lying. My guy Dennis Moody was asking me a little while ago whether I would go offensive line or defensive line in this draft with the early pick, and
you already said that. You know what you said, right?
What did I say?
You said you go D-line, you go edge rusher.
Yeah, that's what I would have said. Yeah.
You gonna stand by that?
It's not really something that I'm gonna like. I'm not gonna die on a hill over, right? Like, especially at this point, I haven't really looked at anybody in this draft yet. I'm not there yet. I probably should have started a couple weeks ago, considering how this season's going. But we'll get there. I'll start looking at these guys and get a better understanding as to what's available. But
you did right waiting, kids, man. You're gonna overdose on the shit just like Chris did, like you and him did. Fucking did it. Y'all overdosed on the shit, and you're gonna do it again, man. We're gonna be into that mode soon enough, man. You don't need to do that no sooner.
Well, I was really hoping I didn't have to do it in December. You know what I'm saying? Like I shouldn't be doing this in December, but here we are again. I in my mind, like a guy like Jalen Carter would have really changed the way this team plays. Like I think he would have been a bit of a game changer for us. And if there's a game changer on the defensive line in and around where we're picking, I'm in. But realistically, man, got to protect the kid, bro. So I won't be mad if they go with the offensive line again. Not at all.
Trips, what I'm afraid of, bro, is that they take into this coaching search, and all the consideration around the coaching search is about Caleb Williams, instead of thinking about the pieces that we have on this roster, the guys that came to this team, and this team was set up to win more than we're set up to be in the playoff hunt this year, at least in the playoff hunt, and we're nowhere near that. And we got some guys that, we can potentially lose some key pieces, man, because of the mishaps that happen. What I'm afraid of is them thinking that there's a piece out there, I'm talking about coordinator-wise or head coach, that's supposed to be this, magic cure everything pill. When in fact, we've got an offensive coordinator right now at the helm that's doing miraculous things with this quarterback. And the fact that if you remove him right now, for sure, you're going to bring in a new guy with a new system, and he's going to have to learn that shit all over again. And the wall and the, he's going to hit it's going to be fucked up. Not only that, you got DJ is going to be on his third offensive coordinator. Third offensive coordinator since he's been here. This is set up to be a fuck up in the making if they don't figure out a way to put wind behind Thomas Brown and push him as this coach. Because if they take him out and bring some guy in, Caleb is going to go through shit, and we're going to be come year 4, year 5, right where we were before because of that.
Well, that's why I think we're so optimistic about, Thomas Brown and who he is and the opportunity he has in front of him, because we get to see a little, 5-game tryout to where it's like, okay, he can handle himself in these, pressure situations. He can handle the team. He has them fighting. He has them prepared. He's on the same page with his rookie quarterback and, the weapons and the rest of the offense. He's able to overcome the deficiencies of the offensive line by his play calling. And so understanding that, all right, I don't have, all my horses up on the front line, so we got to figure it out. We got to move the pocket. We got to hit, quick hitters, the slants, whatever. So the opportunity to see Brown in action is invaluable going into this search, because now it's like at the end of these next 5 games, we should have a good idea of whether Brown has the goods or not. And if it's like, yeah, he's a good motivational talker, but his coaching is like, yeah. Or it's like, yeah, this dude, he walks it like he talks it, and he don't be talking no shit. So it's like, yeah, we like him. Or we go to the unknown and go to the names. So, I mean, just the opportunity to give the Brown the chance to see it, give the players a voice by their reaction to him. If all the leadership or the leadership council or whatever the fuck they call themselves go up to polls and be like, hey, we want to keep Thomas Brown. This dude he's got the goods. That's got to go a long way with Poles and Warren in the interview search to having the current, not just Caleb, as the quarterback, but just the leaders of the team, giving the vouch for Thomas Brown. That has to go a long way. So we're just hoping now, optimistically, that he can be that guy and he's here. But if he's not, now we got to go out and have all these interviews and this guy is, oh, for fuck's sake. Now you got Caleb with his 4th offensive coordinator, and how is that going to work? And then it's just a lot of unknowns. So let's go with the glass half full. And it's like, Brown, yeah, he's our guy. If he's our guy, right? Right? Right?
Right?
Does he rub you the wrong? Does he rub? Let's start with this question.
No.
Does he come off right to anybody?
Yes.
Yeah, he comes off like a coach, like a head coach, like a leader of men, if you want to use that. He comes off like a smart offensive coordinator, using somebody else's, plan to call the game. I mean, it looks like he can handle it. Like I say before, I would prefer if my head coach was just my head coach and let the offensive coordinator coordinate and let the defensive coordinate. But if we have to have that thing to where the head coach is one, is the head coach and the de facto coordinator of one of the sides, if he can handle it, we can see that. And it's like, all right, that's the modern NFL. All right, let's roll with that.
So,
let's do it.
So the next thing I would ask the same similar question. Okay, y'all think he comes off right? Okay, you just get a vibe about him. Second thing is, he's been asked to make you a Thanksgiving dinner, and he's given a can of pork and beans and a pack of hot dogs. Remove that pack of pack of hot dogs and can of pork and beans and you give him actual ingredients to work with, do you think he can cook the meal to make this work?
If you want pork and beans.
No, remove pork and beans and hot dogs, give him actual, turkey dressing and all that kind of stuff.
I'm confused by your analogy, so let me try and map it out here. So
put together a winning formula is what I'm trying to get at.
Are we talking about the existing team being pork and beans and hot dogs, and then post season he would get access to like good groceries?
Yes. He's giving right now.
Well, that's where we are, right? Like it's what you're asking is impossible to answer because we need to see the next 5 games, right? Before I can say all of that. I'm not going to sit here and say give the guy the keys to the kingdom. He's been given the keys to the kingdom, and that's really as much as he can ask for. So at this point, give it a shot, bro. Try it out, test it out. Let's see. Let's test out the waters. Let's see what you can do. I believe he can do great things. But at the same time, you never know. He's in a bit of a weird situation. Things haven't been going very well with this team. It's a bit of a weird situation. But I do believe in the guy, and I actually believe in the talent on this roster. And I have a strange feeling that those next 5 games will look pretty decent by way of the existing staff. And if that's the case, there's one thing, albeit general operational ineptitude of the Chicago Bears notwithstanding. The one thing that sort of steps or jumps out is like retaining these guys might mean a little bit more cost effectiveness for George McCaskey. I think the one thing I do have to put out there, right? Like I know George could I'm just being real. I'm so
a goddamn
Thomas Brown works cheap.
thinking about how he can.
I'm saying Flus worked dirty cheap is what I'm saying. Flus worked dirty cheap. They wanted to make sure, like I couldn't come up with any. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I don't know what took them 2 hours between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. to figure out that this guy should be fired. Between those two, like, what the hell did y'all be talking about?
They fucking lied. They knew it and they just fucked it up. They knew they was gonna fire him. They knew it when they left. They knew it when they left fucking Detroit. They was gonna fire him. They fucked it up.
I believe that too, but like, so what was the fuck up?
They had to ask McCaskey first. Like he needed to kiss the ring type shit.
Too many
That's
cooks.
what happened.
Too many cooks.
And George was like, "But yo, I got him signed for $4 million for the next 3 years. I don't have to pay no. I'm not paying no Harbaugh money. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to pay no Harbaugh money. It's $4 million. It's peanuts.
And it's like, George, you watched the game. Did you see that?
Oh, but like, yeah, I played Madden too. You know what I mean, George? I played Madden. I press the damn. I know he's got to go, but he's only $4 million a year.
He's like, don't call me. I'm on my bumper cars. Fuck you guys.
2 hours later.
I'm just saying, like, these guys, because they're sort of burgeoning into brand new territory, as in, I've never been a head coach before. This is my head coaching opportunity, just like it was for Matt Eberflus versus even a guy like Dan Quinn. I've heard Cap talk a lot about the Dan Quinn interview situation, which is kind of interesting. I won't rehash it here, but what I will say is that Dan Quinn very quickly pulled his name out of the running, which was weird to me. Right? He didn't get a job elsewhere. He was like,
why you think that is? Why do you think?
Well, first reason is they didn't even they didn't even give him a first class flight. They put him in the middle of the back of coach.
That's how that shit came up. I was wondering why it was about 2 podcasters talking about that shit.
Middle of the back of coach, they flew him right in, and he was like, "What the hell is this? I'm sitting with just randoms and regulars." I thought this would be like a covert thing. I don't even get a limo at the airport. You send me an Uber? You send me an Uber at the airport? Yo,
that shit and tight on money.
Sanjay picked me up in the Uber. There's no limo.
No wonder our socks is fucked up. No wonder.
Okay, I'm just leave them damn socks alone, man. If you see that soft patrol going on, did you start doing a write-in type campaign?
Damn, man.
Alone.
I'm just saying, my guy Dan Quinn was like, I'm not having this. I'm good. I'll find something else somewhere else. I'm good. Forget it.
And no love, no respect.
Forget I even showed up in Chicago. But I think, again, these guys do offer, and it's just from a negotiation perspective, the offer is like they're all brand spanking new guys, so they're not going to command Andy Reid's salary or Harbaugh's salary. They're just not. They can get a pretty decent deal done with a Thomas Brown that might look real good by way of a certain Mr. George McCaskey. So keep that in mind when it comes down to, to flesh this actual thing out 5 weeks from now.
I think another thing that was put on the coaches when they came in, that same prerequisite crap that's been happening in polls, did the same thing the coaches said. We getting Caleb Williams. What can you do with him? Not, we'll take the haul and you see what you can do with Justin, but we finna take Caleb Williams. Now what's your plan?
So FFG, if you're a head coach in that carousel, in that coaching carousel, and they want to bring you in and they put you on a peasant flight, and you sitting next to Phyllis, who's over there eating her boogers quietly. You're gonna just
as opposed to Ethel who's eating them aloud. Okay, I'm sorry, that was great. That was pretty cool. Continue.
You're gonna withdraw from that. You're gonna withdraw your name from that hat.
If you think you can be a head coach somewhere else, yeah. If you think this is your last opportunity, you take that meeting. I don't give a damn what you think, because there's a whole lot of dudes sitting at home wishing they was head coach. Ask Caldwell. Wish they had a team to command right now, chilling like Lovey, chilling at home. You know what I'm saying? He got that little Texas money and the Illinois money, and he trying to stretch that so his grandkids ain't got to work too hard in the future. You feel me?
I don't think he's really stretching it. I mean, I think it's plenty. He ain't got to stretch it.
But when he was a coach, they wasn't getting all that money like they paying now either.
Right.
They were. That's why Lovey was the coach. They were being like, he signed a low wallet share deal at the time.
He wasn't getting no Chucky money. I can tell you that.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Man, dude, you know what, man? I barely leaked out what's going to happen on some extra sauce on Wednesday, but I got a feeling we're going to get to a whole other topic line by the time we get to Wednesday, and it's going to be a whole bunch more to talk about. I think we do. I think. What you say?
Oh, Jameis Winston, Jesus.
God damn, I know. This sorry, Mom.
And we watching the Monday Night Football game, and Jameis Winston
has 4 interceptions a day.
Yeah, but he had 497 yards passing,
right,
and like 4 TDs.
One return.
497 yards passing.
Yeah, he almost passed for 500 yards. Then he throws another.
Kneel down. I'm good. I win my fantasy. I'll be 11-2. I don't give a damn. I don't need to.
I forgot the game was on, man.
Oh no!
How did Bo Nix do?
Well, damn near half his passing yards came on one play for 93-yard touchdown.
Yes, 32-41 final, Denver.
Yes.
Damn, Mo Fugler slapped me up in the Superflex this week. I'm gonna talk about that tomorrow, man.
Speaking of that,
Winston. Oh, disgusting.
Speaking of that, man, we need to. How about this, man? Because we need to talk about that, man. What's gonna happen tomorrow, man? We got a lot of stuff to talk about because we now at the nut cutting time, and if you're gonna make a move. If you're gonna make a move, and if you think you got some kind of chance to get into your playoffs, you better start doing something right the fuck now in your leagues. You know what I mean? You need to make some moves right now, and maybe that's what we need to talk about, kids. But I'll let you discuss that and tell us how to go about that.
Well, I will discuss that in full swing, full go tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening at 6 Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. Come join me, Keds the Canuck, and my guy the king of pop. We'll chop it up there tomorrow on the Superflex Fantasy Football Show. Hopefully help you guys win a couple of bucks in your fantasy football leagues as we have been throughout the season. Should be good fun. Always is good fun. And for the most part, we've been able to uncover some pretty serious fantasy football gems, which is just as seemingly come back to bite me in the butt. Like, anyways, forget it. I'll tell y'all tomorrow. We'll leave the rest of that sentence alone, and I will show you guys tomorrow. But yeah, man, Superflex, flex it up with me. We'd love to have you. If you have any questions for your fantasy football league, start them, sit them, holler at me in the chat, and we'll address them live on the air there tomorrow.
Trip, what do you got going on over on Sports Chicago Style that we need to know about?
Well, we got a new Trip exercise vlog, number 17, dropping tonight, this evening as we speak. Chef Trips has another video recipe coming out. Then Coach Tripping with the self-defense thing happening. As we still got the regular sports content grinding it out. Sports Chicago Style, that's where you can find us on the Twitter, the Blue Sky, the Facebook, the Instagram, the YouTube channel, and the .com, as well as the email. So check us out. Give us a follow. If you like the content, give us a like and all that good shit.
Amen to that. And what do we have coming up tomorrow? Of course, we got Superflex, and we're going to do Keds' show. What I'm curious about is, you know what's really, really kind of terrifying me when it comes to a lot of people's fantasy is a lot of people went in, Keds, on freaking San Francisco players, man. You got Christian McCaffrey. You got actually Jordan Mason is now on IR. Both of the starting 1 and 2 running backs on IR, along with I don't think Bosa's playing. You know, you got trouble down there. We're talking about trouble.
Wait, Mason
not only that,
down?
oh yeah, man, check it out. Not only that.
Oh, damn! I know he.
There's starting to be questions. There's starting to be questions about whether or not Shanahan whether his time is over. You know what I mean? He was a really good coach he's been there 8 years. And they're starting to question whether or not he's the right coach moving forward. I got my thoughts on you.
Oh, and also don't forget that Warner, not Kurt Warner, but the linebacker Warner for San Francisco. Fred Warner. He's been playing on a fractured ankle that he's holding off to the end of the season to, have surgery on the fix.
And he's still knocking folks out every Sunday.
And shout out to Fluid 2212 Flocka. RIP to Trent, talking about Trent Williams' baby. He had a baby that one of them was stillborn, twins or something, some of that nature. I might have messed that whole story up, but he had a baby that didn't make it. And that's all out there too, man. So shout out to Trent Williams, man. That was real unfortunate to hear about. Trent Williams was one of those guys who was really contemplating on whether he wanted to come back and play or not, because of he got to that point in life where it's just like, what are we gonna win something? Prove to me we're gonna win something. And I guess they sold him and he came back, and man, I don't think Trent Williams is gonna play football no more unless somebody breaks the bank to bring him into their unit. I see you looking, kids. It's like maybe Ryan Poles does that. I don't know. But
35 or 36.
Well, I won't be mad if he also brings a coach along with him if that's right. If things if things don't go great with Tom Brown, like that's if he winds up leaving San Francisco. Oh man, let me say the realest things in the world again as per normal. Number one, there's no way we'll get him. I'm just shoot myself in the foot now, man. They're not gonna pay this guy. But good Lord, would he be something else in Chicago? I don't think we'd be crying about no offense after that. Somebody would be running that football.
Line too.
You know what happened? You know what happened? How they got him? They started that franchise and that whole era with Shanahan, and that was like the first thing that he did, shored up that left tackle spot. And they went and traded for Trent Williams. That's how Trent Williams got there. And so when you want to really start it over and you want to really get it going and you don't want no problems, you go get the dogs out there. And he went and got the dog out there, and they were shored up for these past 8 years, man. And so Trent Williams was well worth the money. They just didn't execute the plan and get they should have been at least 2 Super Bowls in, but they missed every window presented to them, man. That window is absolutely shut, sealed, and delivered. Ain't no coming out of this. The San Francisco 49ers are over.
But they went to 2 though, right?
They didn't get one. I don't give a fuck how many they went to.
Well, it's better than not ever going to any at all.
Actually,
you know what I'm saying? Like, I got to give the guy, as a coach, from a coaching perspective, I got to give the guy, give the devil his due in that respect, man. He brought his team to the Super Bowl twice. Ricky Leahy, what it do? You know what I mean, I gotta give Shanahan props for that. Shanahan runs the ball. Shanahan does everything that I covet in offense. So, you know, it would be great to have him. I think he would be the perfect head coach with experience for us to get. I just don't think the McCaskies would pay for something like that, though. You know, it's like going to the store with your mom and asking her to buy you an Xbox and shit. You know, baby, I can't, baby.
So if they drafted, let's just say they drafted stud left tackle in the draft, got the hog, right, and they decided they wanted to pay Trent Williams to come in here. You're not gonna start. Not talking about Trent Williams. Trent Williams would be the starter. He's gonna bring that rookie hog along and teach him the tricks of the trade. You don't see any chance of that happening whatsoever.
I can't. No, like I would love that to happen. I just don't think the McCaskies would sign off on it, and it's really weird, this thing that's going on, right? So there's a cap, there's a salary cap for players. When it comes to head coaches and coaching assistants, they can spend whatever the hell they want, as little as they want or as much as they'd like. Traditionally, this team has not spent as much as well, let me rephrase this. They've spent exactly as much as they would like to, and it's always been on the lower side of the stick. So I don't know what a Kyle Shanahan would be asking for out there on the free market, but I would have to say it's going to be in the upper echelon of coaching, right? Like it's going to be at the higher end. So if the Bears are serious, if George McCaskey is serious, hopefully he's willing to do something like that. Considering how hard I believe he fought to retain Matt Eberflus, mainly because like he was cheap. Like I don't know what other reason it could be. You know what I mean? Like there's some report out there that they're like third cousins or something. Maybe, I don't know, but you know what I mean? Like he wasn't a good football coach. So why a 2-hour discussion on retaining him? It's just because he's cheap, right? Just because that's what they want to spend. I don't know. If they do want to spend Shanahan money, I'm so effing in. Let's go. Like that's the one guy that actually interests me outside of what we're looking at right now with Tom Brown and Eric Washington and the existing situation. That interests me a lot. Ben Johnson doesn't interest me quite as much as that, mainly because he forgot to run the football last week. Just forgot. They beat us up for a solid half, and then forgot how to run the football in the second half. Okay.
So for all the people, don't forget to come. If you haven't become a member, really, let's be real clear. We can use your membership, number one, because we got to keep lights on over here. We got to keep the podcast coming forward. We got to pay for apps, technology. We got to pay for all kinds of stuff that happens over here on the Nomad Network. So there's reasons why we do members only content and why we ask people to be members. And to be fully transparent, we just need your support. And to be able to so basically I've been saying this for 2 weeks that we were going to pull out another show for the members on the channel. And we're going to do that probably starting this weekend. this coming weekend. And what I have planned, I know for a fact that you guys are going to like. It's going to be right up you guys' alley. It's right into the conversations that we're having tonight on the show and things that we need to do. So things of that nature. So I'm just teasing that to tell you guys that we don't ask for your money and your support for no reason, man. It's all kinds of things that we have to do over here to make sure this thing looks right, feels right, and comes off right. It's all money. Just the fact that we broadcast to you guys right now and you can hear us, that costs money. You know what I mean? So we just need all the support we can get to transcend this channel to where it needs to go. And we just thank you in advance. And thank you to all the members thinking about doing a little bit more to really show our appreciation to the members that we have, because we do appreciate you guys a whole hell of a lot. You know, everybody that comes and be as a part of regular Nomaniacs and super Nomaniacs alike. We just appreciate you guys' support, man. And I would just say keep it up. And if you considering being a member, just know that every dime that you give us, it goes to the right thing, man. We need all of that to make the shorts, to create the StreamYard podcast and do the graphics and everything that we got to do. All of it costs money. And so I just want to thank you guys in advance for everybody that supports us. Every last one of y'all. That $4.99 means a lot to us, and we need it. So I just wanted to say that before I pass it to kids for some around the bend and some quick. Let's give some pleasantries before we get ready to get out of here, man. We done gave them 3 hours worth of content, man. We satisfied the thirsty listeners, man. So give them some shout outs.
I'm thirsty as well. Cheers to all Bears fans. One big shout out to Super Nomaniac Mo Fugra for just beating the daylights out of me in fantasy football this week. So big shout out to you. Outside of Mo Fugra, let's get it done here. Ricky Leahy's in the building. He says he's 10 out of 10. Jim Leahy drunk. That's very drunk, y'all. So hopefully they got the good sauce for you in the morning to keep you straight, Ricky. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming through. Always good chopping up with you and John 2.0 and Fluid 2212 Flocka. Who else we got out there? My guy, the Titan, holding it down with us. We've also got Mr. Mayhem holding it down. Smitty Q, Chris Foster, all over the building, Chris. Dennis Moody, Daryl Gibson, King Booker World, as per norm. Oh, wait, Super Nomaniac King Booker World, that is. Shout out to you as always, man. Good to have you in the chat. Who else we got? We got Leroy Green, Bruce Leroy Green with the show enough. Gotta love that. I don't know if y'all caught that, but that's show enough. If you don't know who Shown Up is, I'm very disappointed. ATF all times flat. What it do, ATF? Good having you out there. Great chopping it up with you. Who else is out there? There's so many heads up there holding it down today.
2212 Flocka just sent us a $1 super chat.
Oh, I missed the super. Where's the super at?
Right in front of you.
Boom. Thanks, Fluid. Appreciate that. Marlon Johnson, good to see you, bro. Who else we got? Don Bird jumped in. No love to you, Don. Timothy Basemore, big shout outs to you. MC Fact was with us for a little bit today. Nick Rembert, always good to have you, Nick. You really keep the conversation pumping. Rex Smith was out there with us. He had a couple of chats there too. T. Collins, always good to have you. AC Adam, big shout outs to you, bro. Who else is out there? Miguel Goncalves. I love pronouncing that name. It just rolls off of my tongue. And I'm usually not good with the whole R roll stuff. But shout outs to you, Miguel. Shout outs to the Scrolls as per normal. Shout outs to Black Diamond. Shout outs to T3P Podcast. Good to see you, bro. Always awesome to have you. Shout out to my guys right here with me, Nomad, Triple R, FFG. Always awesome doing the darn thing with you guys. And we'll be doing it again later on this week, I'm sure. Leo Factor 1. Always awesome to have you, my bro. Terry Anderson, down with some poutine. I just caught you there, Terry. I'm with it, Terry. Who else is out there? If y'all ain't up on your poutine, you need to get up on poutine. All of America needs to get up on poutine. Y'all sleeping. Sean Rogers, what's popping, Sean? Who else? The original one was with us. Got to be a couple more heads out there I'm missing. Jay Sanders, what's popping, Jay? Everything's good, I hope. I think that almost round. Oh, Sco 6 Trey. What it do, Sco?
Super
double
shout out to Miguel Goncalves, man, with the super chat.
$5. Big shout out for the super chat, Miguel.
He did like $25, man. So
wow. Well, I'm just seeing the one that I'm rolling past now. But either way, Miguel, big shout outs to you, man. Respect. Thank you for supporting the channel, man. We definitely need it and we definitely appreciate it. Ron Winarski, shout outs to you. Always good to have you, man. Dave C was with us for a little bit today. Yo, man, that about rounds it out. Always awesome to have the No Maniacs, the Super No Maniacs with us as well. And we'll be running it down throughout the rest of the week. Robin Harris, shout out to you as well. Didn't mean to miss you. And Torian Blunt. Could there really be two Torians? I wonder. Think there's two?
It could be.
Yeah.
Maybe there's two. All right, well, shout out to the other Torian anyways, man. Mad love to all the Torians out there. Forget it. just put it like that. Anyways, y'all, interesting times. We'll see what the rest of the what the Bears do. I don't know where they go from here, but hopefully it's to San Francisco and putting their a barefoot in their butts. So that's what I want to see. Triple R.
All right, give a shout out, Hill Street Blues, Torian Black. Big up.
There's a bunch of Torians out there. Okay, I'm down on my Torians.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, big up to all the No Maniacs, all the Super No Maniacs out there that watch live, and then a shout out to those that watch later at your own leisure. Big up to you as well, who can't get a live shout out because you're not here live, but we know you watch and we appreciate it.
Kevin Marshall.
Excuse me.
I said like Kevin Marshall.
Yeah, there you go. Like Kevin Marshall. There you go. So yeah, thanks for the support of the channels, of all the social medias, and Sports Chicago style. And guess I'll see you Wednesday on some extra sauce.
Hit him up, FMG.
Hey, I just want to appreciate you fellas here in the Nomad Network for giving me an opportunity to be a Super No Maniac, and hopefully I'm representing the No Maniacs to the best of my ability, because I think everybody wants a crazy fan's point of view, because a lot of times that's what I am. I'm one of those people that get really upset when we lose, and why. So I try to bring it to the table in a modicum of intelligence, not just fly off the handle because I know stuff is messed up, but actually have some kind of constructive criticism to provide the team, which I see countless options in the chat every day. That's why I love this show, because we ain't dealing with no dummies around here. We dealing with actual real fans that want to have an input, that want to show. That's why I'm saying I wish the team would actually watch this show, or somebody in management be like, man, these cats is actually on it every week, and the fans actually are intelligent enough to be able to speak on it every week. So Nomad, thank you for creating the platform. Keds, Trips, rest in peace, Chris, Nick in the background. Y'all do the damn thing, and thank you for letting me be a part of it now and then.
Hey man, look here. It's all kinds of welcome over here for everybody, man, especially you, FFG, for making yourself available and being willing to put yourself out there, because not everybody's willing to do that. And just put a face behind the words that you say. And man, nothing but salute to you, man. I appreciate you more than you know. And what you're doing right now is finding yourself on podcasts, on a podcast version of representing yourself. And what it is everything that me, Trips, and Kids have been through for the last year and some change, is finding your space, man, and finding that people will, your words resonate with people, man. That's one thing you got to remember, is that whatever you represent on the channel and whatever you represent yourself to be, people will hold you to that. You know what I mean? So just remember that, and just know that it's a work in progress when it comes to doing podcasts. You just now getting started. You just now taking a bite out of it. And you ain't gonna do nothing but get better, man. Just be willing to grow and just find your place in it, man. You'll be fine, man. I know we're a bunch of strong ass personalities, and it's hard to find your way in that space, man. But trust me, you'll be fine, man. Believe me when I tell you that. But I just want to say thank you to everybody, man. Thank you to all you people, in particular, Miguel Goncalves for the great super chats. We need those, man. We really do need those. And anybody that can and are willing, man, please. We need every bit of that, man. So just know that it goes to a good space. And every time I look around, I got to spend more money on something. Been promising the new website, and we're gonna get that going too. It's just been a whirlwind, man, for the last couple of weeks, man. It's just been a whirlwind. Just really kind of met FFG, trying to, we're trying to gel with each other, and he's trying to gel with everybody on the show. That's going on, and they fucking around and just fired Matt Eberflus, and all that craziness is going on. So we got all that going on, but I promise you, we're gonna get that website back up. We're gonna get that website back up soon. Not only that, I'm not gonna short the Super No Maniacs, like I told you. We're gonna put a new podcast out here for the members that I know you guys are gonna like, because when it comes out, you're gonna be like, hell yeah, Nomad, you should have did that a long time ago. Trust me when I tell you, when it comes out, you're gonna feel me. And so I just want to say thank you guys again to all the new subscribers. Thank you guys for becoming a subscriber. Thank you to the current subscribers that have been with us from day one. All the day ones. Thank you guys, man. We really appreciate you. But I got to leave you with these famous words. If you can think it, people, and you can see it, there's no reason in the world why you cannot absolutely manifest it. You just got to stop being a prisoner of your mind and figure this out. But with that being said, we are out.